Chapter 1417. 1417. What is a chosen one? 3. Sister Inxuan's charm is really great. All of you have great charm. To be able to meet all of you is the blessing of my life. That's right. A group of people walked on the streets of Flaming Sun City with smiles on their faces as they chatted. They strolled until 12 o'clock before they returned to the manor where they were staying. As night fell, the entire Flaming Sun City was extremely quiet and filled with harmony. This was the most harmonious city they had ever come to. The customs of the people and the city lord's manor were very good, and there were no rich family disciples who were courting death to provoke them. Even if they met a young prodigy who wanted to pursue Tang Yixian, their attitude was still considered very good. Let's go and watch the competition. The next morning, Xiao Yu, Guan Shuqing, and the other girls said excitedly. Let's go! I also want to see the strength of some of the geniuses in the Flaming Sun continent. Feng Luan nodded and paid a private visit in disguise. She naturally wanted to go and take a look at such important matters related to the dynasty. She wanted to see the venue and the strength of the younger generation of the dynasty. After eating some simple food, the group walked towards the Academy of Flaming Sun City. Flaming Sun City Academy was the largest academy in the entire Flaming Sun continent region. It was also the most luxurious academy. The dean was an expert at the second level of the see-through void tier. In this prodigy tournament, not only would the dean appear, even the mayor would come to watch the final match. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived, they realized that there were already more than 100,000 people gathered in the surroundings. As the first prodigy tournament held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, the prizes that were presented were extremely precious. Once one could enter the Dragon and Phoenix Royal City, one could basically become the general of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire in the future. This was a dream for all the youths. The surroundings of the entire competition ground were very lively. Many people sat on their seats and watched. In the arena, there were 5 arenas competing at the same time. The arena in the middle was the largest, having a radius of more than a kilometer. This competition came from more than 20 cities. Only the top 5 geniuses of each city had the qualifications to come to Flaming Sun City for the competition. Among the 120 geniuses from each city, only 10 had the qualifications to enter the Dragon Phoenix Royal City for the final competition. At that time, there would be 200 geniuses from the 20 continents battling each other. Come, our seats are at the front. Everyone came to the front. Today is the first Heaven's Pride competition of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. It's also the beginning of the battle for the geniuses of our Flaming Sun competition zone. You are from our Flaming Sun competition zone. Before the start of the competition, an old man floated at the front. More than 100 geniuses from more than 20 cities came to the arena. The old man was the city lord of Flaming Sun City, a third-level insightful void-tier powerhouse. The city lord opened with a long opening speech, and then the competition began with the announcement of the principal of Flaming Sun Academy. Draw lots and fight. Young Master Xiaoye, Young Master Xiaoye. Qianjun will definitely win. Goddess Huahua, I love you. If you get first place, I'll marry you. Beat this guy up. When the geniuses from the various cities drew lots one by one, the audience cheered for them. They cheered for the geniuses they liked and thought highly of. Great-grandfather, what are we doing here? Are we watching their match? With their strength, I'm not saying that I can defeat all of them by myself. With their strength, they still dare to call themselves geniuses. If they were placed in the Ladyboy graveyard, they would become a joke. At this moment, in a spectator stand around the arena, 5 or 6 people were sitting in a corner. A young man lazily looked at the 100 or so geniuses in the arena, his eyes filled with arrogance and disdain. In his opinion, he could easily crush these so-called geniuses. They weren't qualified to be called geniuses yet. Only people like him were truly geniuses. There will be a huge change in the monster graveyard. The monster race is restless. There's news that some monster race wants to establish a monster dynasty. However, the monster race isn't unified. Some monster race don't agree. They want to split up like humans and establish a dynasty. Right now, there's a huge battle going on inside the demonic beast's graveyard. An old man standing beside the young man frowned and said slowly with a solemn expression. A few 100,000 demonic beast races want to establish a dynasty? This is really interesting. Isn't it better for them to fight among themselves? It will just weaken their own strength, the young man said with a curious smile. As the saying goes, if you don't destroy it, you won't be able to establish it. If you destroy it, you'll be able to establish it later. This isn't a good thing for the humans in the human demon graveyard, or even the flowing sea region. In the Transcendence continent, the 10,000 Fey Empire. You can see that they have the least number, but they are one of the 5 great empires. Once the demon beasts in the human demon graveyard are unified, they will erupt with terrifying might. We have to make some preparations in advance. Although the strength of the young people here cannot be compared to the geniuses in the human demon graveyard, each of them is a talent that can be molded. In the future, they won't be inferior to others. As the old man spoke, his gaze swept over the few young people on the arena, and a satisfied expression appeared on his face. It's great-grandfather. Great-grandfather, you've come personally. It's not easy to recruit some disciples. Our bloodstream sect's reputation is placed here. When the young man heard the old man's words, his expression turned solemn as he spoke arrogantly. The old man faintly nodded his head. The mutation in the monster-human graveyard would definitely affect the human side. And as the top faction in the monster-human graveyard, they were able to get to where they were today because they had a sense of danger. With the rise of the demonic beasts, they had to make preparations in advance and recruit more geniuses and experts to prepare for the future. When they came to Flaming Sun City, they happened to find out that the Heaven's Favorites competition was being held here. Let the competition begin! At this moment, on the 4 arenas, there were already 8 young geniuses standing. The Battle of Heaven's Favorites had already begun. Wang Xian and the rest were watching it with great interest. Although their battle seemed extremely childish in the eyes of Wang Xian and the rest, it was just like an adult watching a child fight. It was also filled with fun. Cheers and cheers could be heard from the surroundings from time to time. The atmosphere of the entire competition ground was extraordinary. Wang Xian and the rest watched more than 10 matches in the morning. In the afternoon, the group of girls felt bored and went to some gourmet restaurants in Flaming Sun City to eat delicious food. The next morning, the group returned again. The competition was only for 2 days. In other words, 10 Heaven's Favorites would be born in the afternoon, and would head to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to participate in the finals. That person called Xiaoya, Qianjun, Lu Fengwen, Zhou Hai, and Nangong Huahua are all at Transcendent Level 9. They should be able to rank in the top 5. Meng Hong stood at the back and watched the competition. Chapter 1418. 1418. What was a chosen one? 4. They are not bad, but there is another young man who is very good. That young man in tattered clothes has very good skills. He should have just broken through to Transcendent Level 8, but his rich experience almost caused Qianjun to fail miserably. This young man should not be from a good family. In time, he won't be inferior to that Xiao Yu, the old woman at the back said to Meng Hong with a smile. When this generation of prodigies rises up, our Dragon Phoenix Empire will become better and better, haha. Meng Hong laughed happily. The selection of the top 10 has ended. Congratulations to Xiao Yu, Qianjun, Zhou Hai, Lu Fengwen, Nangong Huahua. He Qing and the other 10 prodigies, you will represent the Flaming Sun continent to Dragon Phoenix Royal City to participate in the final competition. At that time, you will compete with the other continent's prodigies. In the afternoon, the 10 prodigies will have a ranking. Who will be able to become the king of the prodigies of our Flaming Sun continent? Everyone, let's wait and see. On the stage, the teachers of Flaming Sun Academy announced loudly. I didn't expect that other than that young man from Daybreak Moon, there's also a good seedling. At this moment, in a corner of the stage, an elder from the Bloodstream sect said in slight surprise. Oh? There's more? Great-grandfather, didn't you say that Xiao Yu is about to break through to the half-step void interpretation realm? Who else could it be? The arrogant youth beside the old man asked in surprise. That plain-clothed youth, He Qing, didn't take too many pills from his body. He has rich battle experience, and should have fought in the wild. He's a good seedling. The old man lightly stroked his beard and said with a smile. Is that so? The youth looked over curiously. The duel in the afternoon didn't drag on for too long. 2 hours later, the competition continued. This time, it was the battle for the top 10 rankings. It was much more exciting than the one in the morning and yesterday. Every youth wanted to prove themselves and obtain a higher ranking. At the start of the ranking competition, every genius youth who appeared on stage drew a flood of cheers. The 10 youths had undoubtedly become the 10 star figures of the Flaming Sun continent. That He Qing is really surprising. He actually fought with Nan Gong Hua for such a long time. Yeah, this He Qing is probably going to be ranked 6th, the strongest expert among the rank 8 transcendents. Nan Gong Hua lost to Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai defeated Qian Jun. I didn't expect that. The finals are here. As the battle progressed, the audience looked at the battle on the stage with excitement. The final battle, Xiao Yu versus Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai was originally a very low-key person among the 5, but he didn't expect that he would fight all the way to the end. Both of them are at the peak of Transcendent Level 9. It will take at least 10 minutes to decide the victor. In the center of the viewing platform, the City Lord of Flaming Sun City and the Dean of Flaming Sun Academy looked at the duel in satisfaction. They represented the Flaming Sun region. They did not want to be ranked behind in the first Prodigy tournament of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. It was very embarrassing to say that. Haha, Zhou Hai, you're not my match. The top Prodigy of the Flaming Sun region is mine. Haha, it's time to break through. At this moment, 2 figures separated from each other in the fierce battle below. Xiao Yu suddenly laughed maniacally, and her aura began to rise rapidly. What? Zhou Hai's expression changed slightly when he saw Xiao Yu's aura increase greatly. You're going to break through. Haha, that's right. I was about to break through 2 days ago. Today, the time has come. I'll let you experience the power of a half-step void interpretation. Xiao Yu laughed maniacally, and with a movement, a terrifying power directly pressed down on Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai's expression changed greatly. The opponent's attack had doubled. With his strength, there was no way for him to block it. Boom! He gritted his teeth and received the opponent's punch. This time, his body was sent flying over 100 meters away. He felt a sweet taste in his mouth. What? Xiao Yu actually broke through. She actually reached the half-step void interpretation realm in the battle. My God, Xiao Yu actually broke through to the half-step void interpretation realm. This is simply too strong. When everyone around saw this scene, their faces were filled with shock. All of them stared at Xiao Yu with their eyes wide open. Good, half-step void interpretation, half-step void interpretation. On the main stage, the City Lord of Flaming Sun City and the Dean of Flaming Sun Academy saw this scene and revealed excited expressions as they laughed loudly. With a breakthrough, Xiao Yu would have the chance to compete for the title of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire's King of Geniuses. Xiao Yu! Xiao Yu! In the surrounding audience stands, those who supported Xiao Yu cheered excitedly. I admit defeat. Zhou Hai swallowed the blood in his mouth and said unwillingly. Haha, in the younger generation of the Flaming Sun continent, I, Xiaoya, am the strongest. Haha, I am the head of the Chosen One. Xiaoya couldn't help but shout at the sky with excitement. In the entire Flaming Sun continent, he was the king of the younger generation. Domineering, Xiaoya is simply too domineering. This is the king of the younger generation of our Flaming Sun continent. Too cool, too cool. When the surrounding spectators saw the howling Xiaoya, all of them revealed smiles on their faces as they spoke in admiration. TSK, he's really a little arrogant. Such a heaven's favorite isn't considered a heaven's favorite. In a corner of the spectator stand, a youth said with slight disdain, These 10 youths are all pretty good. We'll recruit them over later," the old man said with a smile. Coming here this time was a pleasant surprise to him. Congratulations to the Dawn Moon Prodigy, the top prodigy of our Flaming Sun continent. He will lead the prodigies of our Flaming Sun continent to participate in the Dragon Phoenix Empire's prodigy competition. The remaining 9 prodigies will go up to the stage to receive their rewards. After wild cheers, the Flaming Sun Academy's dean stood up with a smile and said, "It's the headmaster." One by one, the top 10 youths of the Flaming Sun continent flew onto the stage and enjoyed the brilliance of the attention of thousands of people. 10 youths stood in a row on the stage with strong confidence on their faces. 8 male students and 2 female students. Each person's face was filled with pride and pride. "Today, you are the peerless geniuses of our Flaming Sun continent." The dean looked at the 10 young men in high spirits and shouted loudly, "Absolute geniuses! Absolute geniuses!" Around them, hundreds of thousands of spectators stood up and shouted in unison, "Hee hee! They don't have the qualifications to be called absolute geniuses. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire also doesn't have the qualifications to hold the genius competition. What is a genius? Only those who use blood to fight their way out of the genius stage of the demi-human graveyard can be called a genius. All of you aren't qualified yet." At this moment, a mocking voice resounded in the surrounding sky, causing everyone to be slightly stunned. The youth from the bloodstream sect slowly stood up. Chapter 1419. 1419. What was a chosen one? 5. All of you are not worthy yet. When the last sentence resounded in the sky above the competition ground, the noisy surroundings instantly quieted down. Everyone, a total of over 100,000 people, all looked towards the source of the voice. The youth from the bloodstream sect stood there with a smile on his face. He did not pay any attention to the cold gazes of the people. "Who is spouting nonsense here?" On the stage, the tall and sturdy Qian Jun looked at the young man with a cold expression. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. "Ha! I'm not spouting nonsense. If I say that you're not worthy, then you're not worthy. At the very least, you're not worthy now." The young man laughed loudly. His body moved and he directly flew towards the stage. He was dressed in a black robe and wore a robe, looking incomparably carefree. Facing everyone's gazes, his expression was still incomparably calm. His body moved, and he directly stood on the highest stage, smiling as he looked at the 10 geniuses of the Flaming Sun continent. On the main viewing platform, the City Lord and the headmaster of the Flaming Sun Academy frowned slightly, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. However, when the Flaming Sun City Lord looked towards the direction where the young man was flying towards, he furrowed his brows slightly and his gaze flickered as he looked at the few middle-aged men and elders from the Bloodstream sect. Since you say that we aren't worthy of being called Heaven's Pride, then I would like to know what a Heaven's Pride is. Are you like this?" Nangong Huahua giggled as she sized up the young man. A faint sneer flashed across her eyes. "I don't deserve it. However, only someone like me can be called a Heaven's Pride." As Helion Hu spoke, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he spoke arrogantly. Arrogant. You said that we aren't worthy of being called a Heaven's Pride. Only you are worthy. Then I want to see what qualifications you have to be called a Heaven's Pride. On the arena, the face of the youth ranked 7th in the Flaming Sun continent revealed an ice-cold expression. As he spoke, his body moved, and like a gust of wind, he attacked Helion Hu. "A trash who has just stepped into the 8th level of transcendence wants to challenge me." When Helion Hu saw the attacking youth, a disdainful expression appeared on his face. He waved his arm, and a gust of black wind directly swept towards him. "What?" When the black wind landed on the youth's body, his expression changed greatly, and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Bang! His entire body flew backward at an even faster speed. "What? This is impossible. Ling Feng was actually killed in one move. That young man also looks very young. His strength is so strong. You have to know that even Qianjun and Zhou Hai couldn't kill Ling Feng so easily. What terrifying strength! Who is he? In the surrounding audience stands, when everyone saw Helian Hu instantly kill Ling Feng with a single move, all of their faces revealed shocked expressions. Just like this? He still dares to call himself a heaven's pride? Helian Hu watched Ling Feng fall heavily to the ground, and a trace of disdain and ridicule appeared on his face. You are too arrogant! The Blazing Sun Continent region's top Heaven's Pride competition's leader, Xiao Yu's gaze flickered as he stared at Helian Hu and coldly took 2 steps forward. With a move of his arm, a blue longsword appeared in his hand. Young Master Xiao Yu is going to make a move. Young Master Xiao Yu has broken through to half-step void interpretation. That kid actually dared to show off in front of young Master Xiao Yu and crippled him. He dares to say that our Dragon and Phoenix Empire doesn't have the qualifications to hold the Prodigy tournament. Humph, teach this kid a lesson. Young Master Xiao Yu, teach this guy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a lesson. In the surroundings, some of the spectators in the audience seats shouted loudly. City Lord. On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun Academy's principal frowned and shouted at the City Lord. Let's see what they want to do. The Flaming Sun City Lord's eyes flickered as he shook his head and watched with some solemnity. More than 20 of the most powerful experts of the younger generation in the city have just broken through to the half-step void interpretation realm. Your strength is still not bad. Helian Hu stared at Xiao Yu and commented indifferently. However, you're still a little bit away from becoming a heaven's favorite. If you can receive intensive training in the future, you have a chance to become a heaven's favorite. But for now, you're not qualified enough. If you want to challenge me, you're not qualified either. Come on, you so-called top 10 heaven's favorites of the Flaming Sun Continent region, attack together. Don't say it, I won't give you a chance. Arrogant guy. Let me tell you, this is not a place where you can be arrogant. You want to challenge all of us? Arrogant. As soon as Helian Hu's words fell, the 10 young men of the Flaming Sun Continent region revealed angry expressions. Each of them instantly erupted with a terrifying aura and charged toward him. They were the 10 strongest people in the entire Flaming Sun Continent, yet they were actually looked down upon by others. How could they not be furious? One person wanted to challenge the 10 of them? Your tone is quite arrogant. If I defeat you, I alone will be enough. Xiao Yu's face was also filled with anger. Her body moved and the blue longsword in her hand directly stabbed towards him. To be honest, you don't even have the qualifications to challenge me. As Helian Hu spoke, a bone fan appeared in his hand. He waved his arm, and a black wind blew, directly facing Xiao Yu. HMPH, you are the first one who dares to be arrogant in front of me. Xiao Yu's arm trembled, and several hundred densely packed blue water swords appeared around her. The long sword pierced through the air, emitting a sound like a waterfall. The 2 flying swords crossed together and rushed forward. You are just a frog at the bottom of a well, Helian Hu said with slight ridicule, and waved the bone fan in his hand several times. Roar! A fierce beast condensed from dark energy directly attacked the water swords. You have some skills! Seeing that his attack was easily blocked, Xiao Yu's heart slightly tightened. Divine ability, water moon in the sky! He shouted loudly, and a water-blue demonic blue crescent appeared in front of him. Ripples appeared on the crescent, and each ripple was like a sharp sword, directly attacking Helian Hu. Water moon in the sky, this is young Master Xiao Yu's famous divine ability. It will definitely be able to defeat the other party. Teach him a good lesson, let him know the consequences of being arrogant. Seeing Xiao Yu and the arrogant youth fighting fiercely, the spectators shouted loudly. Hee! The youth laughed disdainfully, waving the fan in his hand forward. Pitch-black spears pierced towards the crescent moon. Boom! A dull sound came from the collision. Following that, 2 pitch-black spears continued to attack Xiao Yu. What? Not good, Xiao Yu, be careful! The top 10 youths at the back quickly warned. Water seal! Cold sweat instantly appeared on Xiao Yu's forehead as streams of water formed a seal in front of him. The water seal completely enveloped him and protected him. Pun! The dark spears landed on the seal in front of him, and the entire defense shook violently. His body could not help but retreat to the back. Crash! In the end, the water seal collapsed, and the dark spear only disappeared. Xiao Yu, be careful behind you! Be careful! However, just as Xiao Yu thought that she had difficulty dodging the other party's attack, a cry of surprise came from the side. Hee, I said that you are still far from it, far from it! Helian Hu, who was standing in front of him, arrogantly looked down at him and said condescendingly. At this moment, Xiao Yu, who was standing there motionlessly, had an incomparably pale face. He sensed behind him. A long dark spear stopped at the position of his back. A feeling of powerlessness surged into his heart. Chapter 1420. 1420. What was a prodigy? 6. Around the huge arena, when all the spectators saw Xiao Yu's back being pointed at by a black spear, their hearts tightened, and their faces revealed embarrassed expressions. This young man who came out to cause trouble had actually defeated Xiao Yu, the most outstanding young prodigy of their Flaming Sun continent region. Moreover, he had defeated him so easily I actually lost. Xiao Yu tightly clenched her fist, her expression unsightly as she stared at Helian Hu. Ha ha, the 10 of you together might be able to make me pay a little more attention, but you alone, hee. Helian Hu laughed lightly, his gaze sweeping over the 10 young prodigies of Xiao Yu, his face full of arrogance. This disciple of the Bloodstream sect, I wonder what your intention is in defeating the elites of the Flaming Sun continent. Are you showing off your strength? On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun City Lord slowly stood up and asked Helian Hu of the Bloodstream sect indifferently. HM? What? The Bloodstream sect? That young man is from the Bloodstream sect? The Bloodstream sect is a powerful sect in the demi-human graveyard. It can be ranked in the top 3 among all the sects and sects. What are the disciples of the Bloodstream sect doing here? When the City Lord of Flaming Sun City's voice rang out, everyone was slightly shocked. They stared at Helian Hu with faces full of shock. This was because Flaming Sun City was only about 100,000 kilometers away from the demi-human graveyard. It wasn't too far away. They were still aware of a great sect like the Bloodstream sect. This was the true colossus within the demi-human graveyard. Even the current dragon in Phoenix Empire was slightly weaker. Haha, then let me introduce myself again. The Bloodstream sect, Helian Hu, is rank 17th on the prodigy roll. I also barely made it onto the prodigy roll, unlike my senior brother, who is rank 7th on the prodigy roll. As Helian Hu spoke, his gaze looked towards a remote spot on the stage. His words shocked everyone once again, and they looked towards the stage with faces full of shock. Meng Wubing, rank 7th on the prodigy roll. A young man who looked somewhat old-fashioned streaked across a black shadow and directly landed beside Helian Hu. Rank 17th on the prodigy roll, rank 7th on the prodigy roll. The prodigy roll seems to be a ranking on the prodigy stage in the demi-human graveyard. Those who can enter the prodigy roll are all peerless prodigies. Everyone in the audience stared at Helian Hu and the expressionless Meng Wubing, their faces full of astonishment. What? You're only ranked 17th. On the arena, the 10 youths of the Flaming Sun continent stared at Helian Hu, their faces revealing an embarrassed expression. He was only ranked 17th, but he was actually so terrifying? Then, that black-clothed youth who didn't speak at the side was ranked 7th. Wasn't he even more terrifying? This made Xiao Yu and the others' faces extremely unsightly. That's right, we are the true heaven's favorites. Helian Hu saw their shocked expressions, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. In your place, you can never think of becoming heaven's favorites. Only by going to the true heaven's favorites battlefield, to the Ladybug graveyard, can you all become the true heaven's favorites. Just like the prodigy competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. it would only make you laugh. If you really took it out, it would be a disgrace." His mocking voice resounded throughout the entire arena, and everyone could hear it clearly. This caused everyone's expressions to change slightly, and they felt somewhat embarrassed. They all knew that the prodigy stage of the transvestite tomb was the center of the entire Luhai region. As long as one ascended the prodigy stage, they would become the prodigies of the entire region, the prodigies of the tens of billions of people. The current prodigy competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire was indeed on a different level from the prodigy stage. Now that they were directly ridiculed by a prodigy on the prodigy stage, their expressions kept changing. "Two members of the Bloodstream sect, watch your words. If you don't know what's good for you, I don't mind disciplining you elders." When the city lord of Flaming Sun City heard Hellion Hu's words, he spoke directly with a cold face. "Haha, city lord of Flaming Sun City, did the disciples of our sect say something wrong?" A loud laughter was heard, and the other three members of the Bloodstream sect flew directly into the sky. Three middle-aged old men with white hair stood in the middle. He stared at the city lord of Flaming Sun City with a face full of smiles. A faint power was emitted from their bodies. The three people floating in the sky suddenly appeared above everyone's heads like a huge mountain. This caused everyone's breathing to stop and shock appeared on their faces. "This power feels even more terrifying than the city lord," an old man muttered. The expression of the city lord of Flaming Sun City changed slightly. Although he didn't know the three people from the Bloodstream sect, he could feel a terrifying power from their bodies. He wasn't a match for them. This caused the Flaming Sun City lord's expression to become extremely grave. "I wonder what your Bloodstream sect's large sect is doing in our Flaming Sun City?" The Flaming Sun City lord expressionlessly asked the old man. "I'm just casually strolling around. I just happened to run into your competition. I feel that these 10 children aren't bad." The old man in the middle revealed a trace of a smile. His gaze swept over the 10 youths on the arena as he said with a smile, "Oh? What do you mean?" The Flaming Sun City lord slightly narrowed his eyes as he stared at the three people from the Bloodstream sect. "Our Bloodstream sect is currently recruiting disciples. The 10 children on the stage have the qualifications to enter the Bloodstream sect. I wonder if you are interested?" The old man glanced at the Flaming Sun City lord and the 10 people from the Daybreak Moon sect who landed on the stage at the end and suddenly said, "What?" The city lord of Flaming Sun City was slightly startled. Even the 10 youths on the arena were completely stunned. They actually wanted to recruit them into the Bloodstream sect. This Bloodstream sect, we are citizens of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. They are the elites of our Dragon Phoenix Empire. They are not people that you can recruit just because you want to." The city lord of Flaming Sun City growled in a low voice with a gloomy expression. "Haha, our Bloodstream sect is a sect. It has nothing to do with your dynasty. Moreover, our Bloodstream sect is a top sect in the Human Demon Graveyard. If you join us, we will give you more resources." The old man laughed and glanced at the young people of Daybreak Moon and the others. "The true chosen ones can only be born in our Bloodstream sect. The Bloodstream sect actually wants to recruit Xiaoye and the others. This is the Bloodstream sect. I never thought that they would actually want to recruit Xiaoye and the others. This." In the audience stands, everyone watched this scene in astonishment. The experts of the Bloodstream sect actually personally invited them to join the Bloodstream sect. This was the Bloodstream sect. What is a Heaven's Pride? If you stay here, you will never be able to become a Heaven's Pride. Only by joining our Bloodstream sect and stepping onto the Heaven's Pride stage will you be a true Heaven's Pride. Staying here is just like a frog at the bottom of a well. Hellion Hu stared at Xiao Yu and the others with a face full of smiles and said with a smile. Hellion Hu's words made the 10 people's faces full of emotion. They were able to become the top 10 of the Flaming Sun continent region at such a young age. Which one of them did not have the heart of a powerhouse? They also wanted to become a true Heaven's Pride that looked down on the current generation. They also wanted to be as powerful as Hellion Hu, or even more powerful than him. The Bloodstream sect was such a powerful sect's invitation, so they were naturally extremely moved. On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun City Lord saw the 10 hesitant young men, and his expression changed slightly. His expression was somewhat unsightly. The Bloodstream sect was a top-tier large sect that had personally invited them, and used the name of a Heaven's Pride to entice them. Which young man wouldn't be moved? Haha, a Heaven's favorite? What's a Heaven's favorite? If I say you're a Heaven's favorite, you're a Heaven's favorite. Suddenly, a proud voice resounded through the sky. Chapter 1421 1421 1421 Whoever I say is a chosen one will go up. Haha, a chosen one? What is a chosen one? If I say you are a chosen one, you are a chosen one. The arrogant voice was filled with confidence and arrogance. These words that everyone heard were extremely arrogant and entered everyone's ears. The voice caused everyone to be stunned. So arrogant. I said you are a Heaven's favorite, and you are a Heaven's favorite? What arrogance! Everyone looked towards the source of the sound. They wanted to know who it was that had such a tone. Hee hee! When Wang Xian saw everyone looking over, he flew towards the arena with a smile on his face. Feng Luan and a group of girls followed behind and flew towards the arena. Eh? That is? The city lord of Flaming Sun City, who was standing on the main stage, saw the figures of Wang Xian and the rest. He stared at Feng Luan and his expression changed slightly. The dean of Flaming Sun Academy, who was standing at the side, also widened his eyes. The two of them did not hesitate at all and flew towards the arena. Your Majesty! The two of them landed in front of Feng Luan in the air. They bowed and greeted her respectfully. What? Her Majesty the Queen? The Queen of our Dragon Phoenix dynasty? The words of the Flaming Sun City Lord and the Flaming Sun Academy's Dean caused everyone's faces to reveal shock. Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen! Some experts from the Flaming Sun City's families immediately stood up from the viewing platform and bowed as they called out. Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen! When all the citizens saw their queen, they also hurriedly stood up and bowed as they called out. I've always heard that Her Majesty visited us incognito. I didn't expect that she would actually come to our Flaming Sun City. Everyone knew about this legendary queen, especially in the past few months. The story of the queen visiting the city incognito, destroying the city lord, beheading the unscrupulous family, and serving the country and the people spread to every city. What they didn't expect was that Her Majesty had actually come to Flaming Sun City. Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen! The 10 youths on the arena immediately half knelt on the ground. The people of Feng Luan and the others, who had faces full of shock, as well as the owner of the arrogant words. Wasn't this the group of people on the shore of Flaming Sun Lake that day? All subjects, rise! Feng Luan stood in the air, her hands slightly floating, and her voice entered everyone's ears. It's the Queen! The City Lord of Flaming Sun City took the lead and said, The Dragon and Phoenix Queen? The elder from the Bloodstream sect slightly raised his brows when he saw the sudden appearance of Queen Feng Luan. Everyone from the Bloodstream sect, this is our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. You have crossed the line by coming here to recruit disciples. Feng Luan looked at the elder in the center and said coldly. At first, they were a little surprised when they saw a young man suddenly come out to cause trouble. When they saw that the Bloodstream sect was actually here to steal their genius young man, they naturally couldn't sit idly by. Haha, Dragon Phoenix Queen, our Bloodstream sect is a sect, not a dynasty. There are no restrictions on the recruitment of disciples by the sect. The white-haired old man in the middle laughed loudly. I don't care what sect you are from. This is the place for our Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty's prodigy competition. You are here to seduce our competition disciples. You are courting death. Mang Hong's body instantly erupted with a fierce aura as he directly charged toward the 3 people from the Bloodstream sect. Hee hee, don't be so violent. The white-haired elder in the center felt the aura from Mang Hong's body. He waved his arm, and an imposing aura directly struck back. 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Mang Hong's expression changed greatly, and so did the expressions of the surrounding spectators. What? 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Any old man from the Bloodstream sect is already a 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Heavens, how can he be so strong? What a terrifying old man! Everyone around exclaimed. Even the Flaming Sun City lords and the others' expressions changed greatly. On the arena, the 10 people of Daybreak looked at the white-haired old man in shock, their eyes flickering. The prodigy competition? The prodigies that you have conferred cannot be called prodigies. Prodigies are honed and cannot be selected from the competition, the white-haired old man said indifferently, his gaze fixed on the 10 people of Daybreak and the others on the arena. Only by joining my Bloodstream sect will you have a chance to become true prodigies. This caused the expressions of the 10 people from Daybreak Moon sect to change continuously. They were slightly moved. Haha, heaven's favorites, whoever I say is. When Wang Xian heard the old man say the word, heaven's favorites, again, he laughed out loud and said it again. If you say so, then so be it. You sure have a big mouth. When Helion Hu heard Wang Xian's arrogant words, he glared at him and said with a cold smile, You think too highly of yourself. The middle-aged man behind the white-haired old man stared at Wang Xian coldly and spat out 4 words. The 17th on the Heaven's Pride roll? When Wang Xian heard Helion Hu's words, a faint smile appeared on his face. With a flick of his finger, a gray dot of light shot towards him. How dare you attack me? You are courting death. When Helion Hu saw a young man who was about the same age as him attacking him, a hint of killing intent flashed across his eyes. He waved the bone fan in his hand, and the dark energy instantly condensed into a fierce beast, directly attacking the gray light spot. Not good! Be careful! Meng Wabing, who had been expressionless the whole time, saw the gray light spot, and his face changed greatly as he warned. Helion Hu's pupils also slightly shrank. Pum. When the gray light spot landed on the fierce beast condensed by the dark energy instantly dissipated. When the gray light landed on the bone fan in his hand, the fan collapsed instantly. Finally, the light landed on his body, causing him to fly backward. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was extremely pale. 7th on the prodigy roll? Wang Xian looked at him expressionlessly. With a flick of his finger, he launched another attack at Meng Wabing. Meng Wabing had a serious expression on his face. With a move of his hands, a dark disk appeared in his hands. Bang! When the gray light spot landed on the dark disk, Meng Wabing was horrified. The dark disk collapsed instantly. When the gray light spot landed on his body, he was sent flying and spat out blood. You are courting death. How dare you attack the elite disciples of our Bloodstream sect? The expression of a middle-aged man behind the white-haired old man changed drastically. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. An aura of the 3rd level of the see-through realm burst out instantly. A golden longsword appeared in his hand. 3rd level of the see-through realm? Wang Xian remained expressionless as he flicked his finger. The gray specks of light attacked the middle-aged man again. You are courting death! When the middle-aged man saw Wang Xian's contemptuous expression, he roared furiously. The long sword in his hand slashed directly at the specks of light. Bang! However, just like Helion Hu and Meng Wabing, the longsword collapsed and the gray light spots landed on his body. His eyes were wide open and filled with disbelief. The powerful attack made him spit out blood. You are the nameless sword demon! The other middle-aged man behind the white-haired elder suddenly widened his eyes and exclaimed. Chapter 1422 1422 When I say who is a Heaven's Pride expert, who is in the middle? You are the nameless sword demon! A cry of surprise came from the middle-aged man's mouth, causing the pupils of the old man in front of the middle-aged man to constrict slightly. The body of the middle-aged man and Helion Hu Meng Wabing, who were lying on the ground, trembled. Their eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief. They had only rushed up to the Heaven's Pride ranking this year. They had never seen the true appearance of the nameless sword demon before. But they knew that there was a mountain on the prodigy roll. At the age of less than 30, he had ascended the prodigy roll, defeated the leader of the demonic beasts at the second level of the Insight Void tier, and ascended to the supreme prodigy. Later, before the nameless sword devil left, he did something that shook the entire demi-demon graveyard. He killed the 5th level of the Insight Void tier, Bing Hanzi. This was the leader of the prodigies, the nameless sword devil. This was an existence that all the heaven's favorites looked up to, an existence that all the heaven's favorites could not hope to reach. Even if all the other heaven's favorites on the so-called heaven's favorites list were added together, they would not be able to instantly kill the nameless sword demon. Nameless sword demon, what is this? When some people around heard this exclamation, they frowned slightly. Some people were very confused by these 4 words. However, some of them were stunned. Their expressions kept changing as they stared at the people below. Nameless sword demon? What else? When Wang Xian saw that the middle-aged man recognized him, a faint smile appeared on his face as he asked mockingly. Nameless sword demon! Nameless heaven's pride! The supreme heaven's pride! The unrivaled young king who looked down on the present generation! I didn't expect it, I didn't expect it. In the arena, Meng Wenbing, who was knocked down by Wang Xian with a flick of his finger, had a burning look in his eyes. He stood up slowly and his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with admiration as he mumbled. Nameless sword demon? Unrivaled prodigy? Supreme prodigy? The unrivaled young king who looked down on the current generation? Stunned, the 10 youths from the waning moon heard Meng Wenbing mumble. Their eyes were burning with worship, and their faces were filled with shock. This was a peerless prodigy ranked 7th on the prodigy roll. They didn't know how strong 7th on the prodigy roll was, but Helian who was ranked 17th on the prodigy roll, had easily defeated them, making them feel powerless. The 7th ranked Heaven's Pride roll was even more terrifying. However, looking at the way he worshipped them, they were in a daze. However, when they saw the 3rd ranked see-through void martial artist who had fallen to the ground with a flick of his finger, they had some understanding in their hearts. The unrivaled young king who looked down on the current generation? Is there such a title? When Wang Xian heard Meng Wenbing mumbling, he was slightly stunned. He had such an amazing title? Not bad, not bad. However, what Wang Xian didn't know was that the name of the nameless sword demon represented the pinnacle of heaven's favorites. Which young heaven's favorites in the current era didn't have the nameless sword demon as their idol? Some fans even claimed that the nameless sword demon could even look down on the current era in the entire transcendental continent, not to mention in the Flowing Sea region. Hence, there was an additional title later on. He was the young king who looked down on the current generation. Nameless sword demon. The city lord of Flaming Sun City and the dean of Flaming Sun Academy were muttering to themselves. A name suddenly appeared in their minds. Lord Wang, I didn't expect you and Her Majesty the Queen to come here together. The city lord of Flaming Sun City and the rest immediately bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Lord Wang? Some of the experts from the families of Flaming Sun City muttered as their pupils contracted slightly. The title of Lord Wang was very famous in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. The families with some strength knew that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was able to develop to this stage not because of the Queen of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Although the Queen of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was ambitious and her strength had reached the 5th level of the Void Interpretation realm. The rapid rise of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was all thanks to this Lord Wang. In Xiaoyao City, 2 5th-level Profound Void martial stage cultivators were killed and the entire Xiaoyao City was destroyed. In the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the real power was this Lord Wang's faction. His Majesty the Queen only had a very good relationship with him. Of course, they could only make guesses in secret as to whether they were lovers or not. Nameless sword demon, nameless heaven's favorite, supreme heaven's favorite. I remember now. Lord Wang is actually a supreme heaven's favorite. Oh my God! On the arena, Nangong Huahua suddenly stared at Wang Xian with burning eyes as she said excitedly. Eh? Huahua? A few young men who didn't know looked at her in confusion. First place on the Heaven's Pride ranking in the demi-human graveyard. First place on the demonic beast Heaven's Pride ranking as his mount. He killed a level 5 see-through void martial artist. Nangong Huahua said quickly. What? This? If they didn't know the significance of being number 1 on the prodigy roll, then killing a level 5 insightful void martial artist, they knew what it meant. Killing a level 5 insightful void martial artist. Xiao Yu swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his forehead full of cold sweat. This reminded him of 2 days ago, when he arrogantly wanted to spar with him. This fuck, he was courting death. I didn't expect little brother Nameless Sword Demon to be from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. The white-haired old man's expression changed slightly as well. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly. He didn't dare to be unreasonable in the face of Wang Xian, who could kill a genius at level 5 of the see-through void tier. His current attitude was better than when he was facing Feng Luan. What is a Heaven's Pride? Wang Xian glanced at the white-haired old man and ignored him. He floated in the sky and looked at the 10 young men and everyone around him. Then, he asked loudly. Everyone looked at Wang Xian in unison. There was shock and respect in their eyes. Heaven's Pride is it? Whoever I say is a Heaven's Pride will be a Heaven's Pride. The top 10 in the Heaven's Pride competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. If I say they are Heaven's Pride, they are. An overbearing voice entered everyone's ears. When the white-haired old man saw that Wang Xian was ignoring him, his face darkened slightly, and he looked a little cold. Buzz. At this moment, a black long sword appeared in front of Wang Xian. This is the demon-free sword. I used this sword in the human-demon graveyard to suppress the current generation. The champion of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Heaven's Favorites competition this time. I will gift this sword to him. The no-demon's sword hovered in the air. It was just a simple void-piercing sword. However, this was the sword that the nameless sword demon had once used. No demon's sword! Meng Wenbing's eyes were burning as he stared at the black sword. In the eyes of the prodigies of the demi-human graveyard, this sword was a divine sword. This is so domineering. Prodigy, is this the supreme prodigy? This is too awesome, I even have the urge to submit. If I say that you are a Heaven's Pride, you are. Damn it, do you have to be so awesome? When everyone heard Wang Xian's words, they gulped and felt a little crazy. Perhaps, this was the spirit of a king. However, with Lord Wang's status, whoever he says is a Heaven's Pride will be his. No one dares to refute him, because no one has the qualifications. Some of the powerhouses murmured. The white-haired elder pursed his lips and looked a little embarrassed. This person from the Bloodstream sect, do you have any objections? Wang Xian suddenly looked at the white-haired elder and asked. At the same time, he flicked his finger. A gray ball of light directly attacked him. Chapter 1423 1423 1423 Whoever I say is the chosen one will be the next. He flicked his finger. It was still an ordinary flick of his finger. Just now, with a flick of Wang Xian's finger, Helian Hu, who was ranked 17th on the prodigy roll, was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Meng Wabing, who was ranked 7th on the prodigy roll, was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Even an expert from the Bloodstream sect, who was at the 3rd level of the see-through void tier, was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. Now, he flicked his finger again. However, the target this time was the white-haired elder. Everyone knew clearly about the strength of the white-haired elder. He was a top expert at level 5 of the see-through. When everyone saw that Wang Xian was actually attacking the white-haired elder with the same attack, they were all in a daze. Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Huh! When the white-haired old man from the Bloodstream sect saw that Wang Xian was attacking him with his fingers, his expression changed slightly. His expression turned gloomy instantly as a hint of anger flashed in his eyes. Nameless sword demon, you are too arrogant, he said with a cold expression as he stared at the fist-sized gray energy that was attacking him. Buzz! His arm moved and a white skull appeared in his hand. The white-haired old man moved his arm and a skull's shadow directly charged towards the gray energy. The skull looked like it came from hell and was filled with gloom and terror. It was lifelike and extremely strange. This nameless sword demon is simply too arrogant. Even if you are as monstrous as a demon, it's completely impossible for you to defeat our Grand Elder with just a flick of your finger. Arrogant. Do you really think that you can wipe out the world with just one move? Our Grand Elder is on the same level as you. The two middle-aged men from the Bloodstream sect watched as the Grand Elder took out his artifact and spoke with an ugly expression on their faces. Boom! The shadow of the dark black skeleton collided with the gray ball, resulting in a terrifying collision. Roar, roar! Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from within the dark skull. One! Just when everyone thought that something unexpected had happened, the roaring skull actually slowly dissipated. The gray ball continued to attack the white-haired old man. What? The white-haired old man's expression changed drastically, and the pale white skull in his hands was directly aimed in front of him. Ghost Devour! He let out a low roar, and a 10-meter large ghost instantly appeared on the pale white skull. The ghost emitted a ghastly and terrifying aura, causing everyone within a few kilometers to instantly feel their scalps go numb. Jia Jia! The ghost let out a strange cry and tore towards the gray ball. One! Jia 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 Jia! The ghost's sharp claws landed on the gray ball, emitting a ghastly sound. This is impossible! However, under the incredulous gazes of the two middle-aged men from the Bloodstream sect, the ghost slowly dissipated. The white-haired old man's gaze also focused. His pupils constricted slightly, and his eyes were filled with shock. The ghost quickly disappeared. He stretched out his hands and grabbed the pale white skeleton. Door of Darkness! A door of darkness filled with runes appeared in front of him. Bang! The gray ball landed on the door of darkness, emitting a terrifying collision sound. The collision in an instant actually almost caused the door of darkness to crack open. The white-haired old man's body shook, and dark energy surged towards the door of darkness. He stared at the gray ball in front of him, and his heart was extremely shaken. The terrifying power caused his body to fly backwards. After flying backward for 100 meters, the gray ball dissipated. The white-haired old man raised the door of darkness in his hand with an embarrassed expression. Hiss! The sound of gasps reverberated throughout the entire area. Everyone watched this scene in a daze. With a flick of his finger, the powerful 5th-level insightful void martial artist was only able to block it with 3 moves. Furthermore, under Wang Xian's casual attack, his body was forced back by more than 100 meters. Although he wasn't injured, the huge gap left everyone in shock. It was so terrifying. Do you have any objections? Wang Xian continued to stare at the white-haired old man with a calm expression and asked. Whoever I say is a heaven's favorite is a heaven's favorite. Do you have any objections? The incomparably domineering aura caused the white-haired old man's expression to change drastically. He is definitely not an ordinary 5th-level void interpretation. In fact, he has already reached it. The white-haired elder looked at the indifferent Wang Xian and his heart trembled. If this person in front of him had really reached that level, then the Bloodstream sect coming to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to snatch him away was simply courting death. Phew! The white-haired elder took a deep breath. Among the younger generation in the world, the only peerless heaven's favorite is the nameless sword demon. If you say that there are prodigies in this world, then there are prodigies in this world. If you say that there are no prodigies in this world, then there are no prodigies in this world. As he spoke, he slowly cupped his fists and bowed slightly. Respect. Boom! The entire audience of more than 100,000 was in an uproar. Oh my God! The white-haired elder from the Bloodstream sect actually said such a thing. If you say that there are heaven's favorites in the world, then there are heaven's favorites in the world. If you say that there are no heaven's favorites in the world, then there are no heaven's favorites in the world. This evaluation. I'm going to kneel down and speak. Gulp, is this our Dragon Phoenix Dynasty's Lord Wang? This is simply heaven-defying. All heaven's favorites are decided by Lord Wang? One by one, the citizens stood up with their faces flushed red, their bodies slightly trembling. How strong was this Lord Wang to be able to make a powerhouse at level 5 of the see-through realm say such words? The 4 people from the Bloodstream sect were also looking at their Grand Elder in shock. They were very clear about the temper of the Grand Elder. Now, he actually said such words to a young man. This was no longer as simple as facing a powerhouse of the same level. Could it be? The eyes of the 4 of them sparkled, and their breathing was a little hurried. This was especially so for Meng Wubing. His burning eyes were staring at Wang Xian with even more admiration. This tall mountain was even taller and bigger. Is this our Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Lord Wang? The supreme prodigy. Whoever he says is a prodigy will be a prodigy. The 10 young men from Daybreak Moon looked at Wang Xian, who was floating in the sky from the arena. Their faces were filled with yearning. This was a true Heaven's Pride expert. He was able to make experts from powerful sects bow down to him. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Heaven's Pride expert competition has Lord Wang overseeing it. This is a true Heaven's Pride expert competition. Feng Wan also looked at Wang Xian with slight astonishment. She didn't expect that Wang Xian would actually make a name for himself as a supreme Heaven's Pride expert, and so on. With Lord Wang around, the Heaven's Pride Expert Competition is the Heaven's Pride Expert Competition. Disciples of our Flaming Sun Continent region, don't lose face for the Flaming Sun Continent region. The City Lord of Flaming Sun City roared in a low voice, his eyes burning with passion. Yes, we will definitely give it our all in the Prodigy Tournament. The 10 people of Daybreak Moon City bowed and roared loudly. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. They looked at Wang Xian in awe, their eyes filled with determination. They wanted Lord Wang's approval. At this moment, Daybreak Moon realized that she was like an ant. Fortunately, Lord Wang did not haggle with him. He also wanted to be recognized by Lord Wang's proud son of heaven. Chapter 1424. Nameless Chosen One. A Supreme Chosen One. With a flick of his finger, even the supreme elders of the Bloodstream sect had to go all out to deal with him. Just how strong is Lord Wang? Did you guys notice just now that Meng Wenbing's Chosen One was ranked 7th? His eyes were filled with worship as he looked at Lord Wang. He was almost going to kneel down. Our Lord Wang is a peerless Heaven's favorite who can suppress the same generation. Not to mention the same generation, even the older generation can't compare to our Lord Wang. The champion prize of this Heaven's favorite competition is the demon-free sword that Lord Wang once used. It would be great if I could get it. In the arena, the hundreds of thousands of spectators watched Wang Xian and their queen's departing figure as they spoke with faces full of shock. What happened today was shocking to all of them. The mysterious Lord Wang of their dynasty was actually the supreme Heaven's favorite on the Heaven's favorite list in the tomb of the transvestite. He even swept through everyone in the Bloodstream sect in a domineering manner. Even the supreme elder of the Bloodstream sect bowed and submitted. He was even more domineering when he said that whoever was the Heaven's favorite would be the Heaven's favorite. Such a monstrous appearance was imprinted in everyone's mind. The strength of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire had also exceeded everyone's expectations. I didn't expect you to make such a big name in the year that you left. In the mayor's residence, Feng Wan looked at Wang Xian with a smile and said, "Haha, it's fine, it's fine." Wang Xian smiled smugly. Your strength has broken through again? Feng Wan looked at him and thought of how she almost caught the Grand Elder of the Bloodstream sect with a flick of her finger. She asked with a twinkle in her eyes. I'm stronger than you. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Look at you, you're still acting arrogant. Lord Supreme Heaven's Pride, have you been fooling around in the tomb of the demi-human? Guan Shuqing and the other girls stared at him and asked with unfriendly gazes. No, how is that possible? Wang Xian shook his head immediately. Sister Fengying, you met him in the cemetery. You tell him. The girls obviously didn't believe that a young man who was known as the Almighty wouldn't be fooling around. There was a girl who was on good terms with him and even confessed to him. As Zhang Fengying spoke, Wang Xian instantly felt waves of murderous gazes. I'm so outstanding. It's normal for someone to pursue me. I didn't agree to it. If you don't believe me, you can ask Fengying if I didn't agree to it. Wang Xian was extremely eager to survive as he spoke hurriedly. Humph! However, the few girls clearly didn't believe in his character. This was especially so for Sun Lingxiu, Jiaya, and Tang Yixian. Speaking of which, the three of them were met by Wang Xian when he was away from home. And that was how it ended. The last time he left for more than a year, it was hard to say if he brought Zhang Fengying along with him. Your Majesty, Lord Wang, the 5 people from the Bloodstream sect are here to pay a visit. At this moment, it was fortunate that the city lord of Flaming Sun City walked in and changed the topic. Bloodstream sect? Let them come over. Feng Yuan nodded her head with a slightly cold expression and spoke to Flaming Sun City. It's Her Majesty the Queen. Flaming Sun City Lord nodded. Soon, the Bloodstream sect's Grand Elder and the other 5 people walked in. Dragon Phoenix Queen, Lord Wang, sorry to disturb you. The 5 people led by the white-haired old man walked in and cupped their hands at them. Everyone from the Bloodstream sect, isn't it a bit too much to snatch people from our Dragon Phoenix dynasty's competition grounds? Feng Yuan sat in the middle and looked at the white-haired elder as she questioned him faintly. Dragon and Phoenix Queen, it's our Bloodstream sect's fault for being reckless this time. We have offended you. The white-haired elder bowed and looked at Wang Xian and Feng Yuan as he apologized. He lowered his stance very much. He was filled with shock towards Wang Xian's strength and the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. The current situation of the demi-human cemetery was uncertain. If they were to offend the Dragon Phoenix Empire, which possessed the combat strength of level 6 of the Void Interpretation stage, it would definitely be extremely bad news for their Bloodstream sect. Oh? Your Bloodstream sect is also a great sect. If you want to recruit disciples, you wouldn't need the Grand Supreme Elder to come and snatch them personally, right? Wang Xian looked at the white-haired old man's sincere look and asked curiously. The white-haired old man's strength was considered top-notch even in the graveyard of demi-humans. The reason why he could only receive 3 moves with a flick of his finger was because he had just broken through, and his arm had been modified. After breaking through to the 2nd level of the Void Interpretation realm and comprehending the Dragon Kingdom in the Aspect Palm, his arm had received a huge improvement. This was why he was able to make the white-haired old man fight with all his might with a single finger. However, what made him curious was that such a powerful sect's Supreme Elder, the strongest expert, actually came here to snatch people. The general trend is changing, and our Bloodstream sect has no choice but to make preparations in advance. The white-haired old man smiled bitterly and said with a somewhat solemn expression. The general trend is changing? Feng Yuan revealed a surprised expression and gestured for them to sit down. The demonic beast race in the human-demon graveyard has undergone a huge change. There are demonic beast races that want to establish an empire, the white-haired elder said with a sullen face. Establish an empire? Feng Yuan was slightly taken aback. Once the demonic beasts unite and develop, their strength won't be weaker than humans, or even stronger. The 10,000 Demon Empire is a good example. Tens of millions of demonic beasts, when they fight, they can destroy cities and overturn seas. It will be fine if they stabilize and grow up. It will be better if they are on good terms with humans. However, if they are evil to humans, it will be a bloodbath. It will be even bloodier than the current human-demon graveyard. The white-haired elder nodded slowly. A worried look appeared on his face. Most importantly, the blood-barbaric demonic beasts are the strongest now. Blood-barbaric demon beasts? Wang Xian and Feng Yuan frowned slightly. The blood-barbaric demon beasts had always fed on the fresh blood of humans and beasts. They were bloodthirsty as if their lives depended on it. If they were to unify the demon beast in the human demon graveyard, it would definitely not be good news for humans. What are the reactions of the few big countries in the human demon graveyard now? Feng Luan asked with a frown. There's no action yet. The Blood Flow Empire is preparing to gather the strength of all the dynasties in the Flowing Sea region. We can't let them establish an empire, the white-haired elder said. Feng Luan slowly nodded, her eyes flickering. Dragon and Phoenix Queen, if the Demon Beast clan really establishes an empire, it will have a greater impact on the various dynasties. Naturally, it will also have a great impact on our sect. Why don't we form an alliance? The white-haired old man looked at her and said with a smile. An alliance? Of course, there's no problem with that. As for how to form an alliance, we still need to discuss. Feng Luan nodded. Young Master Wang Xian is your strength now. The white-haired old man nodded with a smile on his face. He looked at Wang Xian and said. Before he could finish his sentence, he continued. Young Master Wang Xian, it would be even better if you can contact the Light Dragon Empire and Sky Sword Sect. Light Dragon Dynasty? Sky Sword Sect? Feng Luan looked at Wang Xian in confusion. The crown prince of the Light Dragon Dynasty was supported by young Master Wang. The only beloved daughter of the sect leader of Sky Sword Sect has a close relationship with young Master Wang. If we can pull these two forces together, the strength of our alliance will not be weaker than the Blood Flow Empire, the white-haired old man said with a smile on his face. However, very soon, he realized that the atmosphere around him had changed. Wang Xian's face turned black as he glared at the white-haired old man. Damn it! Chapter 1425. Young Master Wang's connections are so strong. I'll let young Master Wang contact the Light Dragon Dynasty and the Heaven Sword Sect. That's right. If he can even settle his daughter, wouldn't that mean everything would be easy to settle? As soon as the white-haired old man finished speaking, the voices of Guan Shuqing and the other girls rang out. They stared at Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Their eyes were filled with sarcasm. When the white-haired old man saw this situation, as someone who had lived for more than 1,000 years, he naturally knew that he had said the wrong thing. However, his expression did not change as he picked up his teacup and took a sip. He was extremely calm. In fact, he even felt a little good in his heart. Serves him right. Ahem, I'm not too familiar with you. Wang Xian coughed. Then regarding the matter of the alliance, I'll have to trouble you in a few days. Feng Luan said to Wang Xian. I'll give it a try. Wang Xian felt a few unfriendly gazes and smiled awkwardly. Buzz. At this moment, the communication stone plate in his interspatial ring vibrated. Wang Xian took out the communication stone plate and looked at it. He raised his eyebrows slightly. There's something I need to take care of at the Dragon Palace. I need to make a trip there now, Wang Xian said directly to Guan Shuqing and the rest. What a coincidence! A few girls sized him up from head to toe. Really? Wang Xian took the communication stone plate. If you have something to do, you can go back first. Sun Lingxiu smiled and said to him. We will go back after discussing some matters with the Bloodstream sect. If something happens at the Dragon Palace, you can go back first. Feng Luan also smiled at the side. Okay, Aojian, you guys stay here and protect them. Wang Xian nodded and turned around to fly out. He slipped away. Guan Shuqing and Xiaoyu rolled their eyes when they saw Wang Xian's fleeing figure. Interesting. A powerful marine demonic beast race suddenly appeared near the Dragon Palace. It seems to be coming from the sea area around the human demon graveyard. Wang Xian flew into the sky and sped toward the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Gui had just sent a message. A group of powerful demonic beasts had appeared within the Dragon Palace's territory. Among the group of demonic beasts, there was an existence at level 5 of the See-Through Realm. Level 5 of the See-Through Realm. It seems to be a demonic beast in the human demon graveyard? This reminded Wang Xian of the recent changes in the human demon graveyard. Buzz. Wang Xian increased his speed and flew towards the Dragon Palace at an extremely fast speed. When his strength reached the void interpretation realm, his speed was 10,000 to 20,000 child per hour, which was more than 10 times the speed of sound. This speed was already extremely terrifying. He couldn't even see a shadow. It took Wang Xian a full 10 hours before he returned to the sky above the Dragon Palace. Bang! After entering the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Gui rushed over immediately. Dragon King! What's the current situation? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Gui directly. The demonic beast race hasn't moved yet. They are located 11,200 kilometers northeast of our Dragon Palace. A group of strange demons are monitoring them. Prime Minister Gui reported immediately. Do you know what they are doing here? Wang Xian asked with a twinkle in his eyes. We don't know yet. Dragon King, should we make a move first? Prime Minister Gui asked. Call the warriors of our Dragon Palace over. We will go and take a look, Wang Xian said without hesitation. If they were enemies of a powerful demonic beast race, they would kill them immediately. The current Dragon Palace had 100% control over the surrounding sea area. If there were any unstable factors, they would either submit or die. The strong preyed on the weak. It's the Dragon King! Prime Minister Gui nodded and swam to the side. Wah-wah! Soon, the sound of a horn was heard from the Dragon Palace, and the members of the Dragon Palace quickly flew toward the Dragon Field. Clang! 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 The sound of metal could be heard, and the demon monkeys holding golden cudgels appeared one after another. The thunder prawns, which were shining with blue light, had armor on their vital parts. Golden swordfish that were covered in golden armor, and were emitting golden light. Heavenly eye archers who were holding metal bows and wearing light armor. Dolphins and colorful sea snakes. 9 flood dragons that were 40 meters in size. Each member of the Dragon Palace contained a terrifying power. Compared to a year ago, they were now fully armed. Each of them was holding a void interpretation level weapon. They were wearing armor of the void interpretation level. Compared to the past, their combat strength had increased by at least 30%. One should not underestimate this 30%. Perhaps the current members of the Dragon Clan with 6 to 7 members at level 1 of the Void Interpretation level could fight against a strong enemy at level 3 of the Void Interpretation level. In the past, they would need at least 10 of them. This was the powerful benefit of weapons. In just a short span of 10 seconds, more than 2,000 warriors of the Dragon Clan arrived at the Dragon Field in an orderly manner. The target is more than 10,000 kilometers away. Let's set off immediately. Wang Xian swept his gaze across all the members of the Dragon Palace. A satisfied expression appeared on his face as he shouted softly. It's the Dragon King! All the members of the Dragon Palace shouted softly. Roar! Roar! The 9 flood dragons roared and pulled the dragon chair to the front. Wang Xian moved his body and sat directly in front of the dragon chair. The army of the Dragon Palace rushed toward the northeast direction. It was vast and mighty. Although there were only about 2,000 members of the Dragon Palace who followed him on this expedition, there were 1,000 insightful Void Realm experts. More than 2,000 creatures were equivalent to the combined forces of 30 to 40 dynasties. Even the insightful Void Realm experts of the Blood Flow Empire were only so many. The members of the Dragon Palace traveled at a very fast speed in the water. They could cover a distance of more than 10,000 kilometers in just a little over 2 hours. Reporting to the Dragon King, that powerful demonic beast race is located 50 kilometers ahead. When the army of the Dragon Palace arrived, Ao Yao, who had been scouting nearby, appeared in front of the army and reported to Wang Xian. Ao Yao, how is the opponent's strength? Wang Xian asked Ao Yao. Dragon King, the opponent is a wood elemental sea creature. There are 2 experts at level 5 of the Void Interpretation Stage, 6 at level 4 of the Void Interpretation Stage, more than a dozen at level 3 of the Void Interpretation Stage, and more than 20 other Void Interpretation Stage experts. Ao Yao reported directly. 2 level 5 Void Interpretation experts? Wang Xian mumbled. Surround them directly! It's the Dragon King! The Demon War Division and the Thunder Division surrounded him from both wings. The 9 flood dragons pulled their thrones and continued to charge forward. In front of them was an area with dense seaweed. Seaweed that was 3 to 4 meters tall was swaying on the bottom of the sea. In the middle of the seaweed, more than 1,000 creatures were scattered around. This was an extremely beautiful demon beast. It had colorful colors, just like beautiful seaweed. It had colorful eyes. If they stood there without moving, they would think that it was a special undersea plant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than 1,000 colorful demon beasts were moving within a radius of 10 kilometers. Suddenly, a special language was transmitted. So. Following that, in the center, a 5 to 6 meter long demonic beast with a beautiful head floated in the middle of the ocean. Its eyes were filled with vigilance. A special sound was emitted from its body, causing all the surrounding demonic beasts to float in the ocean. Its eyes were filled with coldness. Chapter 14:26. Colorful demonic beasts floated in the sky and scanned their surroundings coldly. In the center, the leader of the demonic beasts, who was 5 to 6 meters tall, stared at the area in front of him with a cold expression. Which force are you? The leader of the demonic beasts in the center spoke in human language and asked coldly. What kind of demonic beasts are you? Why did you intrude into the territory of the Dragon Palace? 9 flood dragons slowly appeared in the sight of the demonic beasts. Around them, demonic monkeys and thunder prawns slowly surrounded them. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne. His gaze swept across the demonic beasts in front of him as he asked indifferently. What are you trying to do by surrounding us? A demonic beast swayed its colorful body as it shouted sternly. Shut up! You are not qualified to let the 2 leaders speak! Whoosh! Mao Zedong's cold voice sounded. A terrifying arrow swept up the seawater and headed straight for the demonic beast. The powerful force caused the faces of all the members of the demonic beast clan to change drastically. Whoosh! 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 The expression of a demonic beast not far away from the leader of the central demonic beast clan changed slightly. His body size was similar to that of the leader of the central demonic beast clan. When he saw the incoming arrow, his pupils constricted slightly, and his entire body fluttered. One by one, seaweed shot into the sky and coiled around the arrow. Boom! A violent explosion sounded in the middle of the area. Even though it was more than 20,000 meters deep at the bottom of the sea, waves of water were still surging. The expression of the demonic beast who spoke earlier changed drastically. His eyes were filled with fear. We are a race of colorful algae demonic beasts. I didn't know this was the land of your dragon palace. How offensive! When the leader of the demonic beasts who was floating in the middle saw the explosion in front of him, his expression changed slightly. He swept his gaze across the members of the dragon palace who were surrounding them and spoke to Wang Xian warily. Are you guys from the human demon graveyard? Wang Xian looked at this demonic beast race with great interest and asked with a smile. Yes. If our species of colorful algae demonic beasts disturb you, we will leave immediately. The leader of the colorful algae demonic beast said with a twinkle in his eyes. The entire sea area, apart from the human demon graveyard, is already under the control of our dragon palace. Wang Xian stared at the leader of the colorful algae-like demonic beasts and continued with a smile. I'm very curious. What happened in the human demon graveyard that made you guys come here? Did you come here to hunt other demonic beasts or? These matters don't seem to have anything to do with you guys. The leader of the colorful algae-like demonic beast said directly with an unpleasant expression. Boom! As soon as he finished his sentence, the surrounding members of the Dragon Palace raised their weapons and unleashed all of their auras. There were more than 1,000 insightful emptiness realm experts and more than 1,000 half-step insightful emptiness realm experts. When this aura came pressing down on the more than 1,000 colorful algae demonic beasts, the entire space froze. The pupils of the more than 1,000 colorful algae demonic beasts contracted slightly as they swayed their bodies in panic. Even the leader in the middle was trembling slightly. Wang Xian stared at the leader of the colorful algae demonic beasts and smiled. Look at your own situation. If we want to destroy you, it will be easy. Phew! The leader of the colorful algae took a deep breath. With an embarrassed expression, he lowered his head slowly. There's a huge change in the human-demon graveyard. A group of demonic beasts are fighting. The blood-barbaric demon beast race wants to establish an empire. All the demon beast races will join the empire. Some demon beast races don't want to be controlled. They don't agree. They want to establish an empire. Each race will establish their own empire, but a few top-tier demon beast races don't agree. A few top-tier demon beast races are fighting for the throne of the empire. It's a mess. They've only stabilized a little in the past few days, but the result is not what we, the second-tier demon beast races, want to see. That's why I brought my clansmen here and prepared to hide. As the leader of the colorful algae demonic beast spoke, he raised his head and looked at Wang Xian. Finally, he said, "We didn't mean to offend you. Establish an empire? Empire? Then, what was the situation in the human-demon graveyard before you left?" Wang Xian asked in puzzlement. A few major races have established an empire. The strong ones will sit on the throne and all the demonic beasts will be able to participate. The strong ones will be respected. The leader of the colorful algae demonic beast said with a serious expression. Oh? That's very fair. The strong ones will be respected. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and said with a smile. It was very fair to the top-tier demonic beast races. However, it was not very fair to the rest of the demonic beast races. Once the empire was established, the rest of the demonic beast races would become subjects. There were nearly 100 demonic beast races of various sizes in the human-demon graveyard. As he spoke, his gaze swept across all the members of the colorful algae-type demonic beast race. His eyes sparkled. The strength of the demonic beast race that came from the human-demon graveyard was only inferior to those top-tier races. There were more than 1,000 members. The weakest among them was at level 7 of the supernatural realm. If he could subdue them, it would greatly enhance the strength of the Dragon Palace. Since you guys from the colorful algae-type demonic beast race have come out from the human-demon graveyard, why don't you join our Dragon Palace? Wang Xian said with a smile. What? That's impossible. We will definitely not listen to anyone's orders. The two colorful algae demon beasts, who were at level 5 of the see-through realm, roared furiously when they heard Wang Xian's words. I can bring you guys to the Dragon Palace to take a look. After that, you can make your choice. It's useless to reject now. Wang Xian looked at them with a smile. All the members of the Dragon Palace were closing in on them by a few hundred meters. Their intentions were very obvious. If they didn't agree, then they would take action. This made all the members of the colorful algae demonic beast clan look extremely embarrassed. The leader of the colorful algae demonic beast scanned his surroundings and his heart sank. They had really entered the dragon's lair the moment they were out of the tiger's den. All right. The leader of the colorful algae demonic beast had no idea what to do. He replied with an embarrassed expression. All right, follow us. Don't think of escaping. As Wang Xian spoke, he waved his arm and the 5 elements millstone appeared in the ocean. Buzz! The 5 elements millstone covered an area of 2 kilometers and enveloped the entire multicolored algae demonic beast clan. What is this? Hiss, what a terrifying force. That human is so strong. The members of the colorful algae beast group were shocked when they saw the 5 elements grinding mill above their heads. The leader of the colorful algae beast group also narrowed his eyes and glanced around helplessly. It was over. Go! Roar! 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 The 9 flood dragons roared and flew toward the Dragon Palace. A powerful beast clan didn't even have the strength to resist the power of the Dragon Palace. After that, they could only survive if they joined the Dragon Palace. The expansion of all the forces was filled with tyranny and blood. The Dragon Palace was the same. However, it might not be a bad thing for the colorful algae demon beast clan. Chapter 1427. Oh my God, what is this? This is the Dragon Palace, the palace of this force? This is simply too majestic. In the flowing sea region, there is actually a palace that is even more magnificent and majestic than the human demon graveyard. When all the members of the multicolored algae demon beast race came to the front of the Dragon Palace, all of their clansmen widened their eyes and stared at the building in front of them in disbelief. The building was 500 to 600 meters tall, and the Dragon Gate was enormous. The energy was terrifying. The area of this towering building was more than 100 kilometers. The main hall of the human demon graveyard was not so big and magnificent. Dragon King! Prime Minister Gui, who had rushed here after hearing the news, was full of smiles. He glanced at the more than 1,000 prisoners and the smile on his face grew wider. Hello, everybody. Allow me to introduce myself. I am the head butler of the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Gui. The one on the dragon chair is our Dragon King. As you can see, this place is our Dragon Palace. It covers an area of 150 kilometers. There are dragon caves in the Dragon Palace that are 30 times more habitable than those in the outside world. Every member of the Dragon Palace can have a dragon cave. In addition, there is a dragon field that can improve one's comprehension by 16 times. It is enough for 100,000 members of the Dragon Palace to cultivate together. Right now, there are more than 6,000 members of the Dragon Palace, of which about 1,500 are at the profound void level. First of all, I would like to invite you to join the Dragon Palace and become a member of the Dragon Palace. Of course, you all know what will happen if you don't join. Prime Minister Gui glanced at all the members of the colorful algae demon beast clan and said with a smile, What? 32 times the cultivation speed? 16 times the comprehension speed? How is this possible? Even some important places in the human demon graveyard don't have such a perverse effect. Impossible. How can there be such a perverse place? How cunning! They want to deceive us. The colorful algae demon beasts roared in disbelief when they heard Prime Minister Gui's words. There's no need for me to deceive you. Leaders, what do you think? Prime Minister Gui looked at the two colorful algae demon beasts with a smile. Do we still have a choice? The two colorful algae demon beasts looked at each other and said helplessly. They were completely defeated this time. They didn't want to die just like that. All right, everyone, let's start to break through the Dragon Gate. It's not easy to join our Dragon Palace. Only by breaking through the Dragon Gate can you guess that you are qualified to be a member of our Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Gui said with a smile. What? Break through the Dragon Gate? The members of the colorful algae demon beasts were stunned. Then, they looked at the huge entrance of the Dragon Gate. Okay, I'll go first. The leader of the colorful algae demon beast swayed his body and flew toward the entrance of the Dragon Palace. Buzz! When he rushed into the Dragon Gate, he instantly felt a huge impact. His face changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and rushed over. When he entered, he was stunned. Okay, the future subjects of the Dragon Palace, come in. Seeing their leader enter the palace, Prime Minister Gui said with a smile on his face. Buzz! 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 My God, the spiritual energy is so dense. I feel like I am completely bathed in the spiritual energy. Wow, what level of heavenly paradises is this? When the colorful algae demon beast entered the palace, they finally understood what the real fragrance was. It was a warning of true fragrance. All of them stared blankly at the majestic interior of the Dragon Palace and felt the spiritual energy inside. Dragon King! Wan Xian walked in with a smile on his face. The group of colorful algae demonic beasts immediately knelt on the ground and shouted. Once they entered the Dragon Palace, they would be imprinted with the imprint of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King would be the main one. Dragon King, These are all the treasures of our colorful algae demonic beasts. At this moment, the leader of the multicolored algae demonic beasts walked to Wang Xian's side and handed over more than a dozen interspatial rings. Wang Xian took them and looked inside. Ha! Spiritual liquid, so much spiritual liquid! When he saw the huge vat of spiritual liquid in one of the interspatial rings, his eyes widened slightly. This spiritual liquid could be converted into at least 10 billion dragon crystals, at least 10 billion. Now, he needed 100 billion dragon crystals to upgrade his level. Now, there was 10% of it. This made Wang Xian's eyes filled with surprise. Dragon King, this is the treasure that our colorful algae demonic beasts have been storing for 5,000 to 6,000 years. The leader of the colorful algae demonic beasts replied respectfully to Wang Xian. Prime Minister Gui, how much dragon blood is left in the dragon pool? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Gui. There are still some spare parts. They can totally upgrade the 10 members of the Dragon Palace to the insightful emptiness realm. Prime Minister Gui replied. The reward will be given to the multicolored algae demonic beasts. In the future, according to your abilities, you will be divided into a separate combat division, Wang Xian said to them. Thank you, Dragon King. The leader of the multicolored algae demonic beasts thanked him immediately. Follow me. Wang Xian nodded and led the multicolored algae demonic beasts towards the dragon pond. However, when more than 1,500 members of the multicolored algae demonic beasts entered the Dragon King's hall, their bodies froze. Following that, more than 1,000 pairs of eyes looked towards the dragon throne. That is... Dragon King, why do I feel like we have encountered a treasure that is very precious to us? We can feel a huge attraction coming from ahead. The leader of the colorful algae-like demonic beast said to Wang Xian with a trembling body. Ha! Wang Xian swept his gaze across the area. The colorful algae-like demonic beast seemed to be possessed. He looked at the position of the dragon throne above the Dragon King's palace. His gaze landed on the ancestral tree that he had obtained on Earth. The mysterious ancestral tree. In the past, the ancestral tree was only the size of a palm and had entered his heart. Ever since the Dragon Palace was established, it had been rooted at the position of the dragon throne. Now, the ancestral tree was more than 10 meters tall, and there were a few more bright branches on it. Endless wood branches. Soul-returning wood branches. Evergreen tree branches. Each of these branches had powerful abilities. As for the effects of the mysterious ancestral tree, it was still unknown. The colorful algae demon beasts belonged to the wood element, and the ancestral tree was the strongest treasure in the world to them. Dragon King, can you let us get closer? The leader of the multicolored algae demonic beasts asked with a hint of longing. Sure. Wang Xian looked at all the members of the multicolored algae demonic beasts with a little surprise and nodded his head. Thank you, Dragon King. The leader of the multicolored algae demonic beasts nodded his head slowly. His face revealed a look of worship. He walked forward step by step while the rest of his clansmen followed behind him. When he was 200 meters away from the dragon throne, the colorful algae demonic beast trembled and knelt on the ground. All the clansmen of the colorful algae demonic beast clan knelt down and worshipped the ancestral tree devoutly. Buzz! Under Wang Xian's shocked gaze, the main trunk of the ancestral tree shook slightly. Waves of energy filled with vitality flew towards them. Rustle! Following that, the endless wood on the ancestral tree trembled slightly. The beautiful sparks also flew towards the colorful algae demonic beasts. Chapter 1428. In the Dragon King's palace of the Dragon Palace, the ancestral tree was trembling gently. The branches of the tree were swaying gently. Terrifying life force energy and starlight-like sparks landed on the body of the multicolored algae demon beast. This is... Wang Xian looked at this scene in astonishment. His face was filled with shock. The sparks landed on the body of the multicolored algae demon beast, making it even more resplendent. Waves of special energy were emitted from their bodies. Wang! At this moment, the Changshu on the ancestral tree also slowly floated. Waves of energy were suspended in the air above the 1,500 multicolored algae demon beasts. Roar, roar! A low roar came from the mouth of the multicolored algae demon beasts. Waves of emerald green energy slowly condensed into a branch in their bodies. 2 arms slowly appeared on the branch. One of the arms was emerald green while the other arm was glowing red. Evolution? And it's a dual attribute! Wang Xian's eyes were glowing. At this moment, he realized that the information about the multicolored algae demon beast had undergone a huge change. Starwood Dragon Seed. The name had changed. The light-pricking dragon seed and the dark and light attributes are the strongest assassination dragon seed of the Dragon Palace. The fire gold dragon seed has dual attributes. It's the strongest forged dragon seed of the Dragon Palace. This Starwood Dragon Seed is a dragon seed that evolved from the mysterious ancestral tree. Perhaps it will become another peak dragon seed in the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian mumbled as excitement appeared on his face. This was a pleasant surprise. Boom! 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 At this moment, waves of aura burst out from the bodies of the Starwood Divine Dragons. They had a breakthrough. At this moment, at least 700 to 800 Starwood Dragon species had a breakthrough in their cultivation. Among them, what made Wang Xian even more surprised was that the leader of the colorful algae demonic beasts in the past had also achieved a breakthrough. The powerful aura caused him to float slowly. Compared to the past, his colorful body was like condensed seaweed. The current him had a human-like head, a mahogany-like body, and 2 arms. However, they still didn't have legs. Their legs were like branches. The former leader of the gorgeous algae demonic beasts was filled with excitement. He bowed to the ancestral tree and immediately went to Wang Xian and knelt down. Thank you, Dragon King, for giving us the colorful algae species an opportunity to evolve into Starwood Dragon species. After he finished his sentence, the rest of the Starwood Dragon species quickly knelt down and bowed. Get up! Wang Xian revealed a smile and looked at the leader of the Starwood Dragon species. In the future, I will bestow you with the name Ao Xingmu and lead your Starwood Dragon species in the future. Thank you, Dragon King, for the name. Thank you, Dragon King. Ao Xingmu thanked him excitedly. Now that you have achieved a breakthrough in your strength, how many levels above you can you fight? Wang Xian looked at him and asked curiously. A peak combat dragon species could fight 2 levels above them. If Ao Xingmu could fight 2 levels above him, he would be able to fight against an 8th level void interpretation. This was a little terrifying. Even he was not his match. Dragon King, we can only fight 1 level above him. The fire elemental energy in our bodies can only be fully integrated and utilized when we become gods. However, I should be able to kill a level 7 demon beast of the see-through realm now. Ao Xingmu said to Wang Xian. Kill a level 7 demon beast of the see-through realm? That's strong enough. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. He didn't expect that the colorful algae demon beasts that forced him to join the Dragon Palace would bring him such a big surprise. Of course, this was also really fragrant to the colorful algae demon beasts. Oh right, are there any level 7 demon beasts of the see-through realm in the human demon graveyard? A ray of light flashed across Wang Xian's mind. He narrowed his eyes slightly and asked Ao Xingmu. No. The strongest demonic beasts in the demi-human cemetery are demonic Qilin and blood savage beasts. During this time of turmoil, another bloodthirsty sea demonic beast appeared. Among these 3 demonic beast races, there is only one at level 6 of the see-through realm. When the turmoil broke out, all the demonic beast races used up all their treasures to increase their strength. Currently, there are about 6 to 7 demonic beasts at level 6 of the see-through realm. At most, there are less than 10 of them. Ao Xingmu said. Then, if you bring all your subordinates over, do you have the confidence to become the king of the demonic beasts in the human demon graveyard? Wang Xian's eyes sparkled with a fiery glow. Dragon King, if I bring my clansmen back, I will definitely be able to wipe out all the demonic beasts and become their king. Ao Xingmu said confidently. Haha, good, good. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with excitement. Then I will give you a task today. When the demonic beasts establish their dynasty, you will take the throne. Yes, Dragon King. I promise to complete the task. Ao Xingmu replied immediately. Lady Ao, bring the new members of the Dragon Palace around the Dragon Palace and rest for a few days. Then, we will return to the human demon graveyard. Wang Xian said with a smile on his face. With the appearance of Ao Xingmu, Wang Xian could now set up the entire Luhai region. The demonic beasts were in turmoil and wanted to establish a dynasty. If he could control this dynasty, coupled with the power of the Dragon Palace, he could totally be invincible in the Liuhai region. At that time, even if it was the Bloody Dynasty, he could destroy it with a single sentence. Prime Minister Gui, call the leaders over later to talk about the future development of our Dragon Palace. Wang Xian said to Prime Minister Gui with a smile on his face. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded with a smile. For the next few days, Wang Xian stayed at the position of the Dragon Palace. Blood Emperor, it's been more than 2 months. When are we going to settle the matter that you promised us? In the sky above a 1,000-meter-tall palace in a cluster of palaces. The interior of the palace was resplendent, exuding a thick and luxurious aura. The two old men looked at an old man with his back facing them and spoke with slight displeasure. There's no need to be anxious. The Blood Flow Empire will do as we promised. If it wasn't for the chaos on the demonic beast side, your matter would have been resolved long ago. The old man with his back facing them slowly turned his head. His tall figure and square face were filled with dignity. We also know about the matter on the demon beast side, but the demon beast clan has gradually calmed down. I will also summon all the dynasties and forces in the Luhai region to fight against the demon beasts. An old man was interrupted by the Blood Emperor, as he spoke indifferently. Then, Blood Emperor, what do you mean? When we summon all the forces here. As the old man spoke, he suddenly raised his eyebrows and asked with a smile on his face. I will definitely do what I promise you. However, I hope that the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop will stand on our side in the upcoming battle. Haha. Of course there won't be any problems. Chapter 1429. Within the Ladyboy graveyard, everyone could feel a solemn atmosphere. Everyone knew that the once-in-a-thousand-year revolution in the Luhai region was about to begin. A special atmosphere slowly spread throughout the Luhai region. In the past, there were 60 to 70 dynasties in the Luhai region. Now, after the rise of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, there were more than 40. However, what the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty didn't know was that a conspiracy against them had already begun. Wang Xian, regarding the matter of forming an alliance, we need to take a trip out. On the 5th day, Feng Wan called Wang Xian over. In the palace of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, there was an old man, Sect Master Yi, the leader of the Bloodstream sect. Shall we go together? Wang Xian nodded slightly at Sect Master Yi and asked Feng Luan. This is an urgent matter. The Bloodstream Empire has issued an order for all the dynasty-level forces in the Luhai region to head to the imperial city of the Bloodstream in 7 days. Feng Luan said to him. The reason why we are joining forces is not to target any force. Instead, it is to gain a firm footing in the upcoming war and not suffer any losses. Sect Master Yi looked at Wang Xian and sized him up. May I ask, young Master Wang Xian, what is your current strength? I can fight someone at the 6th level of the see-through realm. Wang Xian did not hide anything and said with a smile on his face. Now, there was no need for him to hide his strength. That was because he had an even bigger trump card, Ao Xingmu. In addition, in order to deal with the following matters, the spiritual liquid brought by Ao Xingmu and the rest was consumed by Wang Xian. It increased the strength of Ao Yao by a level. Now Ao Yao, who was at level 4 of the see-through void tier, could similarly kill a level 6 see-through void tier. With these two trump cards, it wouldn't matter even if his strength was exposed. Even though sect leader Yi was mentally prepared, his pupils still shrank when he heard Wang Xian's words. Hee hee, I'm really old. A peerless heaven's favorite of a generation. Even old fellows like us can't catch up. Sect Mastery shook his head and said with a smile. Haha, Sect Mastery is too modest. When are we going? Wang Xian asked with a smile. Let's set off immediately and try to convince the Light Dragon Dynasty and the Heaven Sword sect within 2 days. This way, we can have some say in the Blood Flow Empire. Feng Luan stood up and gestured to Wang Xian. All right. He nodded without any objections. His plan was his plan. As for the humans, he still had to help Feng Luan. The Blood Flow sect and Feng Luan wanted to join forces. If a war broke out in the future, they wouldn't have to be used as chess pieces and be manipulated by the Blood Flow Empire. If they could join forces with a few major factions, they could be on equal footing with the Blood Flow Empire. This would reduce their losses. Then let's go. The Light Dragon Empire is the closest. It's only 130,000 to 40,000 kilometers away. After that, we'll head to the Heavenly Sword sect. Chiefy stood up and said, Let's go! The 3 of them flew straight into the sky without bringing any subordinates. Chiefy stepped on a giant sword that was half a meter wide. A pair of fiery red wings grew out from Feng Luan's back. Come to my place. We'll be faster! Wang Xian looked at them and smiled. He took out the 5 elements millstone. The 5 elements millstone expanded to a radius of 20 meters and floated in the sky. Chiefy smiled at Wang Xian and stood up. The relationship between the Bloodstream sect and the Bloodstream Empire was not very good. It was what he wanted to see the most to be able to form an alliance. This was especially after he learned that Wang Xian was also a powerhouse at level 6 of the See-Through Realm. One must know that there were only 3 to 4 powerhouses at level 6 of the See-Through Realm in the entire Bloodstream Empire. Feng Luan sat cross-legged beside Wang Xian. The 3 of them flew rapidly towards the Light Dragon Empire. After flying for more than 10 hours, Chiefy was slightly shocked when he saw that Wang Xian did not need to rest at all. The territory of the Light Dragon Empire is ahead. Their imperial city is not far from here. Coming to an area where the cities were slightly denser, Manageri said to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head and sped up slightly. Let's go straight to the Imperial Palace. A huge city appeared in their sight. The huge moat was spectacular. Let's go straight to the Imperial Palace. Sect Mastery said with a smile as he looked at the central Imperial Palace. With their status, there was no need for them to ask for permission to enter the Imperial Palace of the Light Dragon Dynasty. They flew straight to the Royal Palace. The defensive formation of the Royal Palace couldn't stop them at all. Buzz! After passing through the defensive formation of the Royal Palace, they flew toward the Royal Palace at a terrifying speed. The guards of the entire Royal Palace couldn't react in time. Brother Long Xiaotian, a friend is here to pay a visit. King of the Radiant Dragon Empire, we have something to discuss. When they arrived in the sky above the Radiant Dragon Empire, Wang Xian gave a light shout and a smile appeared on his face. Although his relationship with Long Xiaotian was relatively good, it wasn't very good when compared to the Radiant Dragon Empire. After all, he had once killed the Crown Prince of the Radiant Dragon Empire on the spot. Who dares to make a ruckus in our royal palace? An angry shout came from below the royal palace and many insightful Emptiness Realm experts soared into the sky. At this moment, in the Imperial Study Room in the royal palace, Long Xiaotian and a few ministers were standing in front reporting to the king of the Radiant Dragon Empire. When he heard this voice, Long Xiaotian was slightly stunned. He was filled with astonishment. A hint of anger flashed across the king of the Radiant Dragon Empire's face. If Wang Xian wasn't too strong, he would definitely take revenge for the death of his son. The king of the Radiant Dragon Empire moved and appeared in the sky. Oh? Sect leader? When the king of the Radiant Dragon Empire was floating in the sky, he saw Wang Xian and the other 2. His gaze landed on the sect leader of the Bloodstream sect and he was astonished. You are the one who killed my grandson. How dare you come to my Light Dragon Empire? You are courting death. Suddenly, an old man rushed out from below. A 1,000-meter-long light sword attacked Wang Xian directly. Huh! Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. The 5 elements grinding mill beneath him moved slightly and a wisp of gray energy swept toward the light sword. With a sweep, the light sword disappeared. Guanglong Empire, we have something important to discuss with you. Don't bring about your own destruction. Sect Master Yi frowned slightly when he saw that the experts from the Guanglong Empire dared to attack directly. Sect Master Yi, what is there to discuss? The king of Guanglong Empire's pupils contracted slightly when he saw Wang Xian easily wiping off his father's attack. He said solemnly, "This is the Queen of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire regarding the future of the Blood Flow region. As for young Master Wang, you should know that we are not enemies." Sect Master Yi said faintly. The Queen of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire? The King of Light Dragon was slightly taken aback. He had heard of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire which had recently risen in the distance. He was filled with fear towards this empire. There were many more cities under the Dragon Phoenix dynasty than there were under the Light Dragon dynasty. Come to our imperial study and talk. Chapter 1430. 6th level of the Void Interpretation Stage. In the imperial study room of the Guanglong Palace, the king of the Guanglong Kingdom and a few top-notch experts of the Guanglong Kingdom were sitting in the imperial study room. Everyone was looking at Wang Xian and the other 2 people who were sitting in a row in shock. Even Long Xiaotian, who was sitting at the side, widened his eyes. King of the Guanglong Kingdom, everyone is very clear about the matter of your 8th son. It's not that I want to say it, but you have to bear the consequences if you make a huge mistake. Your 2nd son has such a good relationship with young Master Wang. Everyone knows the world of the strong. Sect Master Yi said to the king of the Light Dragon Kingdom with a smile on his face. The faces of the people of the Light Dragon Kingdom changed slightly. It was the most ruthless imperial family. Take Long Xiaotian and his brothers for example. There was not much brotherly love between them. After all, they were not born from the same mother. Instead, they competed for the throne. The death of the 8th prince did not matter much to the other princes. On the other hand, it was impossible to say that the dozens of sons of the Guanglong Kingdom were very close to each of them. The dynasty was bigger than those princes. Furthermore, there was the relationship between Long Xiaotian and Wang Xian. Wang Xian was a powerhouse at level 6 of the see-through realm. There were only benefits and no bad things in forming an alliance. If the Heavenly Sword sect agrees, we will agree, the king of the Kingdom of Light Dragon said with a twinkle in his eyes. All right. If young Master Wang wants to negotiate with the Kingdom of Light Dragon, it will be easier, Chief Yi said with a smile on his face. The king of the Kingdom of Light Dragon looked at Wang Xian and took a deep breath. If we can form an alliance this time, we will let bygones be bygones. Don't worry, Long Xiaotian is my brother. Wang Xian smiled faintly. Okay. The king of the Kingdom of Light Dragon nodded and squeezed out a smile. He also knew that his 2nd son had a very good relationship with Wang Xian. If not for his 8th son angering him, it would be the best for the Kingdom of Light Dragon to have an ally at level 6 of the see-through realm. In that case, King of the Light Dragon Empire, do you want to go to the Heaven Sword sect with us? Sect Master Yi said with a smile. All right. The king of the Light Dragon Empire hesitated for a moment before nodding his head. Time is of the essence. Let's set off now, Feng Luan said directly. The group headed outside and flew towards the Heaven Sword sect. Compared to the Light Dragon dynasty, when they came to the Sky Sword sect, their treatment was completely different from that of the Light Dragon dynasty. I didn't expect young Master Wang to actually come to our Sky Sword sect. Let's go and inform the young miss. An elder floated in the sky and cupped his hands towards Wang Xian as he said with a smile. Didn't expect it? People who don't know about this treatment would think that he's the son-in-law of the Sky Sword sect. Feng Luan watched from the side and said mockingly. Ahem, elder, beside me is the Queen of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, the King of the Light Dragon Empire, and the sect master of the Bloodstream sect. We are here to talk to your sect master about something important. Wang Xian coughed and explained his purpose of coming here in an awkward manner. Oh? Our sect master? Let young Master Wang and the rest come up. As the elder of the Heavenly Sword sect spoke, a voice came from the peak of the Heavenly Sword Mountain. Everyone, follow me! The elder of the Heavenly Sword sect gestured upwards. Let's go! Wang Xian nodded his head. Is this the Wang Xian that our young miss likes? A supreme heaven's pride expert with terrifying strength at the 5th level of the Void Interpretation stage. Our young miss has good taste. That's right, that's right. He is my idol, an invincible heaven's pride expert. Furthermore, back then, senior brother Renxingchen wanted to acknowledge him as his master but was rejected by him. Senior brother Renxingchen seems to have been saved by him twice. I heard from senior brother that the reason why he is able to reach this stage today is all because of young master Wang Xian. Our senior brother Renxingchen's talent is also terrifying. In just a little over a year's time, he has actually advanced to the 2nd level of the see-through realm. How terrifying! At the bottom of the mountain, some disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect were discussing among themselves when they saw Wang Xian and the rest. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived at the peak of the Heavenly Sword Mountain, there was a middle-aged man and a young man standing on the peak. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian in surprise and raised his eyebrows. Sir! Renxingchen, who was standing at the side, saw Wang Xian. He took 2 steps forward respectfully and shouted, I didn't expect your strength to improve by quite a lot. My daughter's taste is really good. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian with a smile and said with a smile. The corner of Wang Xian's mouth twitched when he heard his words. Sect Leader Ling, we are here to discuss something with you. Oh? What is it? To think that the king of the Guanglong Kingdom, Sect Leader Yi, and the queen of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire are here as well. Sect Leader Ling asked with a smile on his face. To form an alliance, Sect Leader Ling understands the strength of the Bloodstream sect, the Light Dragon Empire, and the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. In addition, Sect Leader Ling, you and young Master Wang are both at level 6 of the Void Interpretation stage. Let's form an alliance to deal with the upcoming changes. Sect Leader Yi looked at Sect Leader Ling and said seriously. 6th level of the Void Interpretation stage? You've reached this stage? Sect Master Ling was slightly shocked as he stared at Wang Xian and asked. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. Alright, let's talk inside. Sect Master Ling didn't hesitate much and nodded directly. He brought them to a room. The demonic beasts wanted to establish a dynasty. The order for the Blood Flow Empire had been issued. Following that, the storm in the Blood Flow region was about to erupt. In this kind of change, there might be a terrifying war. Even the Heaven Sword sect couldn't guarantee that they would be able to survive this crisis alone. Now that they could form an alliance, it was the best choice. This way, in the next wave, they would be able to grasp the direction. They wouldn't be forced to obey a single order from the Blood Flow Empire. Feng Wan, forget about the Blood Flow Empire. How long do you think it will take for you to rule the entire Luhai region? After spending 5 hours to discuss everything, everyone left. Wang Xian and Feng Wan flew towards the Dragon Phoenix Empire as he asked slowly. Forget about the Blood Flow Empire? The sect master of the Heaven Sword sect is very strong. He's at level 6 of the see-through realm. They're a sect, so there's not much of a hindrance. The Light Dragon Empire and the Boundless Sea Empire are not weak. If I can break through to the 6th level of the Void Interpretation realm, and have another person at the 6th level of the Void Interpretation realm, it should be enough. Why? Why are you asking about this? Feng Wan looked at him in puzzlement. If you can achieve it, I will help you deal with the Blood Flow Empire. Wang Xian said to Feng Wan mysteriously. You. Feng Wan was slightly taken aback before she smiled bitterly. I thought my current development speed was fast enough. I didn't expect that I couldn't keep up with your pace. Let me think of a way. I will try my best to possess such strength within a year. As she spoke, she took a glance at Wang Xian and smiled happily. Chapter 1431. Command the world to lay down the flag. The meaning of the flag laid down by the bloodshed empire is obvious. Command the world. When the flag is laid out, all the forces in the entire Luhai region must listen to the order. With the strength of the bloodshed empire, they have the right to command the world. In the past, all the level 6 see-through void martial artists in the entire Luhai region were with the bloodshed empire. Now, although there is an additional sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect, this does not have much effect on their status. In the vast wilderness, Feng Luan and Wang Xian sat in a sedan. Outside the sedan, more than 30 insightful Emptiness Realm experts were accompanying them. 2 level 2 insightful Emptiness Realm beasts were pulling their proud sons. Beside Feng Luan, there was a 1-meter-sized flag with the words, "Command the world," written on it. After Wang Xian and Feng Luan returned from the Heaven Sword sect, they gathered more than 30 insightful Emptiness Realm experts and headed to the Blood Flow Empire. The order of the Bloodshed Empire had been sent to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. They had no choice but to go. If they didn't go, it would be equivalent to not giving face to the Bloodshed Empire. The consequences were obvious. Furthermore, the Bloodshed Empire gathered all the forces for the matter of the demon beasts in the demi-human graveyard. This time, it would be difficult for all the forces to remain unscathed. That was in the past. Wang Xian smiled. I wonder if the Blood Flow Empire has any plans to gather all the forces in the Luhai region. Feng Luan shook her head. We'll know when we get there. The team proceeded forward. The Blood Flow Empire was at least 300,000 kilometers away from the Dragon Phoenix Empire. The journey was extremely long. If they rushed over, it would take at least 4 to 5 days. At that time, it would also be the time for the Blood Flow Empire to invite all the powers in the world to discuss important matters. At the same time, all the powers in the entire Luhai region started to move, heading towards the direction of the Blood Flow Empire. A storm was about to arrive. Your Majesty, Lord Wan, 2 kilometers ahead is the Blood Flow Empire's imperial city. After traveling for 4 consecutive days, the old woman's voice sounded from outside. Hang up the flag! Feng Luan waved her arm and opened the curtain. A flag floated above the sedan. As expected of the bloodshed imperial city. It's really lively and extraordinary. Wang Xian looked outside and was slightly surprised. In the past, the most magnificent city he had seen was Xiaoyao City. However, compared to the city ahead, Xiaoyao City was much inferior. The entire city was like an ancient Western castle. Every building in the city was extremely luxurious. The golden city gates emitted a thick and heavy color. A city wall of 500 meters was definitely the tallest city wall that Wang Xian had ever seen. They were still 2,000 meters away from the Bloodshed Empire. Below them was a wide road. The road was paved with milky white tiles, giving people a comfortable feeling. The entire road was 2 to 3 kilometers wide, surrounded by luxurious carriages. Many forces with flags also walked towards the imperial city that was filled with historical heritage. Void interpretation level experts could be seen everywhere, and void interpretation level demon beasts could be seen everywhere. In front of the city gate, there was a moat that was 1,000 meters wide. Terrifying fish would occasionally appear in the moat. The level of these fish was not low. Even if a half-step void interpretation expert were to fall into the moat, he would still have a slim chance of survival. The entire Luhai region is as big as Earth. There are definitely more than 10,000 void interpretation experts in there. There should be more than 1,000 people who came to the Bloodshed Empire this time. Including the Bloodshed Empire, there should be close to 2,000 void interpretation experts. Wang Xian thought to himself, "What power do you belong to? I'll bring you to the place where you live." Just as they arrived at the entrance of the city, 2 middle-aged men of extraordinary level 9 walked over and asked them, "The Dragon and Phoenix Empire?" Meng Hong pointed at the flag of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire and said to the 2 middle-aged men, "Come with us." The two of them nodded and led them inside. The two of them sped along the road while Wang Xian, Feng Luan, and the rest followed in a car. After traveling for at least 70 to 80 kilometers, they arrived at the location of the square. It was a huge square. The square had an area of at least 5 kilometers. In the middle of the square, there were many statues. Each of the statues was as tall as 100 meters and arranged neatly in a row. In front of the square, there was a huge imperial palace. Two 7 to 8 meters tall lions were lying on the left and right of the imperial palace. These were not stone lions, but two third-level void interpretation demonic beasts. One could see how powerful the Blood Flow Empire was. I'll lead you to a castle. Your Dragon Phoenix Empire will temporarily stay in the castle, waiting for the summon of our Blood Emperor. Two middle-aged transcendents at level 9 spoke to them and led them into a nearby castle. The castle was not very big, but it had a beautiful environment. It was 5 stories high and was very good. There was still running water in the courtyard. A castle outside the palace was already so beautiful, let alone inside the palace. Rest well for a night. I don't know what will happen tomorrow, Feng Luan said to her subordinates. It's Her Majesty. Everyone nodded. This time, Feng Luan brought more than 30 insightful Emptiness Realm experts from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Beside Wang Xian, Ao Jian and a golden swordfish were followed by 15 strange demons. Ao Yao was personally leading the team. Other than Ao Yao, the rest of the strange demons were the strongest 14 among the strange demons. 4 were at level 3 of the Void Interpretation Realm, 10 were at level 2 of the Void Interpretation Realm, and level 3 of the Void Interpretation Realm could assassinate level 4 of the Void Interpretation Realm. 10 were at level 2 of the Void Interpretation Realm, and they could assassinate level 3 of the Void Interpretation Realm. This force was not strong, but it was definitely not weak. At the very least, other than the king of the Light Dragon Dynasty, the Hahai Dynasty, the Divine Wind Academy, and the Bloodstream sect, the strange demons could be easily assassinated. Even the king of some dynasties could be dealt with. If Ao Yao was included, there was no need to mention it. I'll have a good look at the various factions in the Luhai region tomorrow. Wang Xian sat in a room in the room. He poured a cup of tea and muttered with a smile on his face. Are they here? At this moment, in a large hall in the Imperial Palace, 4 to 5 middle-aged elders were sitting on both sides. A middle-aged man in blood-red clothes and a beautiful woman sat in the center. The one who spoke was the middle-aged man sitting at the side. Sir, the people of the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty have arrived. The middle-aged man standing in the center reported respectfully. It's good that they're here. Your Highness, I'll have to trouble the Shadow Division of the Blood Flow Dynasty, the middle-aged man said to the middle-aged man in the middle of the blood-red clothes with a smile. Your Highness, that supreme genius named Wang Xian is also with the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Before the middle-aged man in the blood-red clothes could speak, the reporting staff quickly said, Oh? That supreme genius at level 5 of the see-through void? On both sides, the middle-aged elders frowned slightly. Chapter 1432. The name of the supreme genius, Wang Xian, was known by everyone in the entire demi-human graveyard. He had the ability to kill a level 5 seeping void martial artist, a peerless genius. When the few people in the main hall heard this name, they were slightly shocked. Yes, sir. That supreme genius, Wang Xian, is with the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, the middle-aged man who came to report said respectfully. The middle-aged men frowned slightly. They knew very well that the Dragon and Phoenix Empire had 2 powerhouses at level 5 of the see-through void tier. However, they did not expect that the other person, Lord Wang, who was at level 5 of the see-through void tier, was actually a supreme prodigy. Furthermore, he had followed them here this time. Wouldn't that mean that the 2 powerhouses at level 5 of the see-through void tier from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire were here? This would be a little difficult to deal with. Supreme Prodigy, I'm really envious. I used more than 400 years to reach the 5th level of the profound void tier, and the other party reached it before the age of 30. TSK. The middle-aged man in the middle of the blood-red clothes sipped his tea and said, Your Highness, in my heart, you are the most powerful. What do you mean by prodigy? Strength is strength. Our Highness is not weaker than that brat. Beside the middle-aged man in blood-red clothes, a beautiful woman leaned against the middle-aged man with a smile on her face as she spoke. But no matter what, that kid is already a very powerful expert. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes smiled as his gaze swept past the people from the life and death pill and holy item forging workshop on both sides. Your Highness, even if it's an additional 5th level void interpretation expert, it shouldn't be too much of a problem for your blood flow empire, right? An old man said with a frown. 1 or 2, even if it's 3 or 4, it won't have much of an impact. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothing smiled indifferently. Then, Your Highness, tonight's words. The old man hurriedly opened his mouth and looked at him. Directly assassinating, this kind of method is simply too low-end. Before the Dragon Phoenix Empire dies, we can still make use of it. Don't be anxious. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes said with a smile. Oh? Your Highness, the Blood Emperor and our 2 chief supervisors have already gone to the vast region. This matter is entirely under your control. Do you have a better method? An old man's eyes flickered as he asked. Everyone will naturally know tomorrow. Everyone, don't worry. The matter that our blood flow dynasty has promised will definitely be accomplished. The middle-aged man in the blood-red costume kept them guessing and said with a smile. That's good. We will wait for the good news from the Crown Prince. We will take our leave first. A few middle-aged men cupped their hands and walked out directly. I didn't expect that the king of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was actually a woman. After the few of them left, the beautiful woman in the main hall stood up and sat beside the middle-aged man. She spoke with some surprise. Other than Mei Wan, she is the 2nd queen of the Luhai region. The young man in the blood-red attire hugged the gorgeous woman's body and squinted his eyes. That Wang Xian is not simple. He has many subordinates at the insightful void tier. The gorgeous woman was slightly taken aback. I heard that there are more than 300 powerhouses in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. The number of insightful void tier powerhouses in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, along with the subordinates of that Wang Xian, is not much less than our bloody flow empire. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes shook the tea beside him and said slowly. What? How is this possible? How can there be so many experts? The gorgeous woman said with a face full of disbelief. This is the information that our blood flow empire received. It is absolutely true. However, there is still a huge gap between our overall strength and the blood flow empire. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes said with a smile. That is not the case. Just the blood flow empire has 10 to 20 subordinate dynasties and forces. How can a small empire compare to them? The alluring woman said in a fawning manner. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes smiled, his eyes flashing with a luster. He was the current crown prince of the blood flow empire. Now, he had the strength of a 5th level void interpretation. When he reached the 6th level void interpretation, it would be the time for him to ascend to the throne. In the current empire, he was in charge of many matters, big and small. This time, he was also the one who presided over the command of the blood flow empire. It could be said that he was announcing to the world that this was the future blood emperor. Everyone from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, please head to the Imperial Palace. Early in the morning the next day, a middle-aged man came to the castle and said to all of them, All right, bring us there then. Feng Luan nodded. Everyone followed behind the middle-aged man and headed towards the Imperial Palace. After entering the huge Imperial Palace, they rode on horse carriages and headed inside. The entire Imperial Palace was like a different world, beautiful and magnificent. Everyone, please alight from the carriage. When they arrived at the front of a large hall, the sedan driver spoke to them. Wang Xian, Feng Luan, and the rest walked down and looked ahead. What a huge palace! Looking at the huge palace in front of him, Wang Xian was slightly surprised. The name of the palace was the Dragon Gathering Palace. It was the place where the Blood Flow royal family held all kinds of huge banquets. The surrounding forces were holding a flag just like them. They scanned their surroundings in surprise and walked inside. Dragon Phoenix Empire, isn't this a newly rising powerful empire? I heard that the empire is a queen and is extremely powerful. This Dragon Phoenix Empire has risen rapidly in just 2 short years. If it has more than 200 cities, its strength would be comparable to the Ha-Hai Empire and Light Dragon Empire. I heard that this empire is extremely belligerent and is expanding crazily. The surrounding factions walked into the hall one by one. When they saw the flag of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty beside Wang Xian and Feng Luan, they were discussing in low voices. Wang Xian and Feng Luan swept their gaze across the area. There were at least 20 to 30 factions walking into the hall. There were more than 40 dynasties in the Luhai region. However, there were also other sects, and powerful families. The number of these factions was not much less than the dynasty. Each of them gave off the aura of a high-ranking person as they strolled inside. There were at least 1,000 people, but they were not noisy at all. They were all people of status. After entering the hall, there were already about 1,000 people inside. Each of them sat in a separate area. In each area, there was a banner. It was the banner of the dynasty and the various factions. The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, please follow us. A eunuch walked over and led them to the front with an expressionless face. This is your position. The eunuch pointed to a few tables and said. Everyone nodded. Wang Xian looked around and realized that the Ha-Hai dynasty was beside them. The Light Dragon dynasty was not too far away from them. They were in a position near the front. This should be divided according to the strength of each dynasty. Feng Luan noticed that they were in a relatively high position. She also glanced around and said, Chapter 1433. The entire hall was divided into 70 to 80 regions, and each region had a main seat. The region where Wang Xian and Feng Luan were located was behind the various family forces in the Blood Flow Empire. In terms of the various dynasty and sect forces, their seats were at the very front. Along with them was the Heavenly Sword sect. Feng Luan looked at this seat and slightly raised her brows. One by one, the factions walked into the main hall. Soon, all the seats in the main hall were filled. There were about 1,000 to 2,000 people. Beside each dynasty and faction, the flags of their respective factions were hung. At a glance, it encompassed all the factions in the entire Luhai region. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings slightly. He had a rough understanding of the factions in the entire Luhai region. Feng Luan, the sect master of the Heaven Sword sect, the sect master of the Bloodstream sect, and the king of the Light Dragon dynasty looked at each other and nodded. The emperor has arrived! The crown prince has arrived! Just as all the dynasties and sects in the hall were sizing up everyone around them, a eunuch's voice came from the front. Eunuch! Everyone looked forward and landed on the 3 old men and the middle-aged man in blood-red clothes. The 2 old men each held 2 scepters and followed behind the middle-aged man. The old man's eyes did not seem to open. His large red robe completely enveloped his body. The middle-aged man in blood-red clothes behind him slightly raised his head. His face was filled with an aura of looking down on the world. He glanced disdainfully at everyone in the hall. His gaze paused on the Dragon Phoenix dynasty for a moment, and his face was filled with a faint smile. Emperor, those 2 old men are 2 emperors. They were once the Blood Emperor. Only experts at the 6th level of the Profound Void tier are qualified to be called emperors. Those 2 old men were once the emperors of the Blood Flow Empire. The middle-aged man behind is the crown prince of the Blood Flow Empire. I heard that he has reached the 5th level of the Profound Void tier at the age of 400. I heard that this generation's Blood Emperor did not rush overdue to some matters. Everything today will be handed over to the Crown Prince of the Blood Flow Empire to carry out. Too strong, simply too strong. From afar I can feel a terrifying pressure from the 2 elders. It makes one's heart palpitate. When they saw the three people walk over proudly, everyone's faces revealed an astonished expression. They discussed in low voices. Your Majesty, Your Highness the Crown Prince. In the front row, the experts from some of the forces and clans within the Blood Flow Empire stood up respectfully and bowed as they shouted. Your Majesty, Your Highness the Crown Prince. In the back row, some kings and experts stood up and cupped their hands. These were the subordinate forces of the Blood Flow Empire. As the only region in the Blood Flow region, the subordinate forces of the Blood Flow Empire were very terrifying. Everyone has come from afar. It's been hard on you. The middle-aged crown prince walked to the center seat and waved his hand with a smile. The two old men beside him sat on one chair on the left and the other on the right. The height of the two chairs was very high, even higher than the chair behind the middle-aged man. Are all the forces here? The middle-aged crown prince asked an old man beside him indifferently. Your Highness, I'm sorry we're late. At this moment, two teams walked over from outside the door. In front of each team was a middle-aged man holding a flag with the words Holy Item Forging Workshop and Life and Death Pill Workshop written on it. The two teams didn't sit at the back, but on both sides of the two emperors and the middle-aged crown prince. Even these two forces were qualified to sit at these two places. I represent the entire Luhai region to thank you for coming to the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop. The middle-aged man smiled and nodded at them. Ha ha! The old man in front of the two forces smiled and sat on his seat. Reporting to Your Highness, the Shilai Kingdom and the Lantern Soul Sect have not arrived. At this moment, the old man held a booklet in his hand and said with a frown. Today, all the forces of the Luhai region have been summoned. It is related to the safety of the entire Luhai region. To resist the foreign forces, we must first pacify the domestic forces. The middle-aged crown prince slowly sat on the chair. Those two forces that didn't come might become our traitors in the future. Hee hee. Any unstable factors cannot exist. Destroy them. To resist the foreign forces, we must first pacify the domestic forces. And the best way to pacify the domestic forces was to destroy them. It's Your Highness the Crown Prince. We already have two lords bringing people over. The old man nodded. The middle-aged crown prince's order caused everyone around to take a deep breath as their eyes flickered. This was the Blood Flow Empire's tyranny. Once the flag of the world was out, if they didn't come, they would die. This wasn't the prestige and tyranny that had been accumulated over a day or two. It was the prestige that an invincible force should have. Today, our Blood Flow Empire gathered all the forces in the Luhai region. Everyone should be very clear about this. The Demon Beast clan wants to establish an empire. All along, the Demon Beast clan has had more experts than us. Based on the hatred that exists between us humans and the demon beasts in the human-demon graveyard. Once their empire is established and all the forces are unified, the peace of us humans will no longer exist. The cruel blood-savage demon beasts are the natural enemies of humans. We absolutely cannot let the demon beasts establish an empire. We must stop them at all costs. The middle-aged crown prince swept his gaze across everyone and said indifferently, all of our dynasties will listen to the orders of the Blood Flow Empire. Your Highness, what do you think we should do? A king of a subordinate dynasty of the Blood Flow Empire respectfully said from below. That's right. We will listen to the Blood Flow Empire and listen to your orders. We absolutely cannot allow the Demon Beast clan to unify. Another dynasty also spoke up. All the factions understood this matter, and they had to stop it. Otherwise, it would be a bomb to the various dynasty factions in the Blood Flow region. Good, our Blood Flow Empire already has a plan for this matter. We'll take the initiative to attack. We definitely cannot let the Demon Beast race establish an empire. The middle-aged crown prince stood up, and his sonorous voice entered everyone's ears. This time, our Blood Flow Empire will lead all the forces in the Flowing Sea region to deal a heavy blow to the Demon Beast clan. Everyone don't worry. During this war with the Demon Beasts, the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop will provide us with a large number of pills and weapons. As he spoke, he looked at the two powerful forces on both sides, the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop. The elders from the two factions nodded slowly. Crown Prince Bloodflow, I would like to ask how many people each of our factions needs to send out, and how to fight. At this moment, the Sky Sword Sect Master spoke slowly. The Sky Sword Sect Master's question is good. For the sake of fairness, each faction will send out 1/3 of the insightful Emptiness Realm experts. As for how to fight, it is naturally for our Bloodflow Empire to formulate a plan, the middle-aged Crown Prince said as if it was a matter of course. Chapter 1434. Every faction will send out 1/3 of their forces. This is an all-out war with the Demon Beast clan. 1/3 of their forces? When Crown Prince Bloodflow finished speaking, some of the factions frowned slightly and discussed in low voices. Our Zero Glory dynasty agrees with your Highness Crown Prince. We will definitely comply. Our Storm dynasty will listen to the orders of Bloodflow dynasty. Very quickly, the various factions voiced their agreement. Within these dynasties, there were only 20 to 30 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. Even if they were to send out 1/3 of their strength, it would still be acceptable. Moreover, the upcoming war was hard to say. Most importantly, once the Bloodshed Empire made a decision, they had no right to resist at all. Their dynasty's strongest expert was only at the 4th level of the insightful Emptiness Realm. If the Bloodshed Empire wanted to destroy them, it would be a piece of cake. Sect Master Ling's expression did not change at all when he heard his words. I have a piece of information here. This is what our Bloodflow dynasty has gathered. The Zero Glow dynasty now has 28 insightful Void Realm experts. The North Spirit dynasty has 33 insightful Void Realm experts. The Storm dynasty has 23 insightful Void Realm experts. The Sky Sword sect has 393 insightful Void Realm experts. Prince Bloodflow looked at the numbers on the data and said indifferently. This caused all the forces in the Flowing Sea region to be slightly shocked, and their faces revealed a shocked expression. The Bloodflow dynasty has actually found out the number of experts in each of our forces. The expressions of the kings and sect leaders of some dynasties and sects changed slightly. These numbers were considered confidential to them. However, the Bloodflow Empire was able to find out so easily. As expected of the overlord of the Flowing Sea region. The eyes of all the experts flashed. They knew that it was impossible to hide this information. One by one, the insightful Emptiness Realm experts were called out by Prince Bloodflow. The Sky Sword sect and a few other large forces were slightly unhappy. There's one dynasty that surprised me the most. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty has at least 537 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. It really surprises us. 537? Our Bloody Flow dynasty only has a little more than you guys. Prince Bloody Flow said as he looked in the direction of Feng Luan, his eyes shining. What? More than 500 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. How? How is this possible? As far as we know, there are only more than 300. How can there be so many? Some of the dynasty's forces revealed shocked expressions as they looked over with their eyes wide open. Feng Luan frowned slightly and took a sip of the tea beside her. There was no change in her expression. She knew that the Bloodflow Empire must have included the Dragon Palace's strength that they knew. She looked at Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled and didn't mind. Sect Leader Ling of the Heaven Sword sect, the King of the Light Dragon Empire, and Sect Leader Yi of the Blood Flow sect all looked at Feng Luan. Their eyes were also filled with astonishment. More than 500 insightful void martial artists had hidden their strength too deeply. If one didn't count their top-notch combat strength, the Dragon Phoenix Empire was only slightly weaker than the Blood Flow Empire. Even the Heaven Sword sect couldn't compare to them. Seeing that Feng Luan did not show any fluctuations, Prince Bloodflow slightly raised his eyebrows and revealed a satisfied expression. This is a map of the demon beasts in the human-demon graveyard. In a few days, we will attack every demon-beast race and disrupt their plans to establish an empire." As the sixth prince spoke, he waved his arm and a huge map appeared in the air. The map clearly recorded the distribution of the forces of each demon-beast race. Among the demon-beast race, the blood-barbaric demon beast, the demon-scale demon beast, and the bloodthirsty sea demon beast are the most powerful. They have experts at the 6th level of the profound void tier. According to the information we received, the strongest experts of these 3 demon beast races are gathered here to discuss the matter of establishing the Imperial Palace. Therefore, we will launch a sneak attack on all the demonic beast races' lairs in 5 days' time to disrupt their plans," Prince Bloodflow said as he pointed with his arm. "The Heaven Sword sect and the Bloodstream sect are in charge of launching a sneak attack on the demonic beast lairs. The Light Dragon Dynasty, the Hanhai Dynasty, and the Divine Wind Academy are in charge of the bloodthirsty sea demon race, and the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty is in charge of the blood barbaric demon beast race." "Wait!" Prince Bloodstream pointed at the map in the sky as he spoke. However, before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Sect Leader Ling. "Oh? Sect Leader Ling, does your Sky Sword sect have any objections?" Prince Bloodstream looked at the sect leader of the Sky Sword sect with a smile on his face as he spoke indifferently. On the contrary, when the surrounding dynasty forces heard Prince Bloodstream's words, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. Handing over these 3 strongest demonic beast races to the top-tier factions in the Blood Flow region was the best choice in their eyes. "I don't have any objections to our Sky Sword sect facing the demonic Lin demonic beast race. Facing the powerful demonic beast race, only a few of our factions are able to deal with them. However, you've given away all 3 great demonic beast races. I want to ask, what is your Blood Flow Empire doing?" Sect Leader Ling asked the Blood Flow Empire with a calm expression. "Our Blood Flow Empire is in charge of the overall situation. This is an order, this is not a discussion," Prince Bloodflow said. Suddenly, an old man holding a blood-red scepter at the back slowly raised his head and said calmly. Prince Bloodflow was slightly stunned and slowly raised his head. "This? As expected of the Bloodflow Empire, incomparably overbearing. The Bloodflow Empire has dominated for thousands of years, so it naturally has this strength. Even if the Spirit Sword sect has a 6th level void interpretation expert, it still can't change the overall situation." When the surrounding people heard the old man's words, their pupils slightly constricted and they pursed their lips. The entire hall became silent. This was the might of the Blood Flow Empire. Our Blood Flow Empire naturally cannot just stand by and watch. In the end, we still have to rely on our Blood Flow Empire when facing the Demon Beast Empire," Prince Bloodflow said indifferently, and shrugged his shoulders slightly. Sect Leader Ling of the Sky Sword sect frowned slightly. His expression was somewhat unsightly as his eyes flickered. "We don't have the strength to let our Dragon Phoenix Empire face the blood barbaric demon beast." At this moment, Feng Luan frowned slightly and said directly, Your Dragon Phoenix Empire is so strong, how can we not do it?" At this moment, the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop, which were sitting at the front and 2 sides, stared at Feng Luan with smiles on their faces and said with a smile. They finally understood the Blood Flow Empire's plan today. They didn't even need to do it themselves. The Dragon Phoenix Empire would suffer heavy losses, and they could even use the Dragon Phoenix Empire to weaken the demonic beasts. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You've underestimated your strength, this queen. If the 6th level of the Profound Void tier isn't here, you have the Supreme Prodigy. It's just a blood-savage demonic beast. You can still deal with it." Prince Bloodflow looked at Feng Luan and slowly picked up the wine cup. "Moreover, this is an order. Who else has an opinion?" Chapter 1435. Go. Who else has an opinion? Prince Bloodflow stood at the top and questioned everyone with a cold face. Who else has an opinion? This sentence sounded more like who else dared to have an opinion? When everyone heard Prince Bloodflow's words, they were slightly shocked. They weren't shocked by the Bloodflow dynasty's might. In the entire Flowing Sea region, everyone knew that the Bloodflow Empire's strength could literally destroy all of their forces. If it wasn't for the fact that the Bloodflow Empire needed to fight against the demonic beasts in the demi-human graveyard, and that they didn't have enough strength to control such a large area, they might have already ruled over the entire Bloodflow Empire. Ruling a dynasty wasn't that simple. Just like the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was developing very quickly. However, there would be some city lords who didn't take Feng Luan's orders seriously. The gathering power of the citizens was weak. Just like the city lord of Windfrost City, just like the prodigy competition of Flaming Sun City. The city lord didn't take the queen's orders seriously. If it wasn't for Wang Xian and Feng Luan, the prodigies of Flaming Sun City might have already been recruited by the Bloodflow sect. This was the problem of control. A weak control was the same as not having control. Therefore, the Bloodstream Empire didn't unify the entire Flowing Sea region. They only controlled over 20 factions and became their subordinate factions. This power was enough. No matter how many cities there were, they could become a burden. However, not every city could bring a huge amount of spirit stones to the Empire. Some spirit stones even required the Empire to spend money to maintain them. What shocked everyone was that the legendary Supreme Prodigy was actually from the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Everyone's gaze swept across the area where Feng Luan, Wang Xian, and the rest were. Their faces were filled with astonishment. I really didn't expect that Supreme Prodigy was actually from the Dragon Phoenix Empire. This is a peerless powerhouse who could kill a 5th-level Profound Void martial artist. No wonder the Dragon Phoenix Empire could rise so quickly. With more than 500 Void Interpretation Realm experts and 2 5th-level Void Interpretation Realm experts, their strength is much stronger than the Light Dragon Dynasty and the Boundless Sea Dynasty. Exclamations sounded one after another, and their eyes flickered. Your Highness, we don't have any opinions. We have the responsibility to fight against the human demon graveyard. We will use as much strength as we have the responsibility. We support Your Highness. Our Zero Glory Dynasty also supports the Crown Prince. The Dragon Phoenix Dynasty has a supreme genius. It is easy to deal with a blood barbarian demon beast. That's right, that's right. Those who are capable will work hard. In the future, the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty will be our role model. The kings and sect masters of the various forces said with smiles on their faces. For such a powerful force, they naturally hoped that the other party would be weakened. Moreover, it was much better for others to deal with a top-tier king beast race like the blood barbaric demon beast race than for them to do it themselves. The rest of the forces immediately agreed with a smile on their faces. They were very supportive of the Crown Prince's order this time. Hee, I have an opinion. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was sitting beside Feng Luan, shook the teacup in his hand with a smile and said faintly, Wang Xian's sudden words caused everyone in the hall to be slightly stunned. They looked at him in astonishment and widened their eyes. Do you have any objections? Prince Xuelu was also slightly stunned when he heard Wang Xian's words. He narrowed his eyes slowly and said, Give me a reasonable reply or else. As he spoke, the killing intent in his eyes was not concealed at all. He stared coldly at Wang Xian. Before he could finish his sentence, everyone knew what was going to happen next. What else can we do? Our Dragon and Phoenix Empire is going to deal with the top-tier demonic beast race alone. Heaven Sword Sect, Light Dragon Empire and Bloodstream Sect are going to deal with another demonic beast race. May I ask, what's the use of having your Bloodstream Empire? Are you just here to issue orders? Wang Xian leaned back on his chair and looked at the Crown Prince on the stage with a smile on his face. Wow! Wang Xian's words were undoubtedly like a bomb on the calm surface of the water. It shocked everyone. You are courting death, nameless sword demon. Do you really think that you are so arrogant just because you are a Supreme Heaven's Pride expert? How dare you speak to Your Highness the Crown Prince? Dragon and Phoenix Empire, I think you all want to die. Watch your words, you people who belong to this place. All of a sudden, all the experts from the Blood Flow Empire stood up and stared at Wang Xian coldly. Even those affiliated to the Empire stood up and looked at them with murderous intent. Arrogant, you are too arrogant. I think all of you don't want to leave this place today. The people from the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Biological Forging Workshop stood up with cold smiles on their faces. Their eyes were filled with disdain. How dare they question the Blood Flow Empire here? They were simply courting death. Boom! At this moment, Prince Blood Flow, who was standing in front of them, emitted a terrifying aura. He stared at Wang Xian and Feng Luan with a ghastly expression. Is this the intention of your Dragon and Phoenix Empire? The powerful aura made the families and forces of the Bloodshed Empire in front of them quickly move aside to make way for him. He stared at each other from afar. A blood-red glow shot out from his eyes. This world is not the world of your Bloodshed Empire. You called us here. We are not here to seek death, nor are we here to become chess pieces to be manipulated by others. Feng Luan slowly stood up, her gaze fixed on Prince Blood Flow, and a faint sneer appeared on her face. Even if it is your order, you must give us a reasonable explanation. Explanation? Our Blood Flow Empire has the strength. Why should we explain to you? You don't have the qualifications. An order is an order, you just have to obey. Otherwise, what awaits you is death. Don't think that you are so powerful just because you have more than 500 insightful Void Realm experts. That's right. There's no need for the Blood Flow Empire to make a move. Our combined strength has 400 to 500 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. Do you really think that you are so amazing just because we praise you? Before Prince Blood Flow could speak, the subordinate countries and the family forces of the Blood Flow Empire shouted with cold expressions. Are the people of the Dragon Phoenix Empire courting death? Do they really think that they can fight against the Bleeds Empire just because they have more than 500 insightful void martial artists? This, courting death, is simply too arrogant. When some of the other forces saw the Queen and Wang Xian of the Dragon Phoenix Empire talking to the Bleeds Empire in such a manner, they shook their heads slowly. Why do I have to explain my actions to you? What qualifications do you have? You have 3 seconds to kneel or die. At this moment, one of the elders standing beside the Crown Prince stood up slowly and stared at Wang Xian, Feng Luan, and the rest with an expressionless face. Chapter 1436. Go. I'll give you 3 seconds. Kneel down or die. An incomparably tyrannical voice came from the mouth of an emperor. He stood up. His burly body stared coldly at Phoenix and the rest. Why would he need to explain to you? It explained the invincible stance of the Blood Flow Empire. In the entire hall, when that emperor stood up and spoke, traces of power filled the entire hall. Everyone held their breaths and looked at him with incomparably grave expressions. Why do you have to explain to us? You are really domineering, haha! When Wang Xian heard the words of the emperor, he sneered and stood up with a loud laugh. Do you guys still have the qualifications to say such words? He narrowed his eyes slightly and swept his gaze across the 2 emperors. A faint sneer appeared on his face. Huh! Seeing Wang Xian standing up with a cold laugh, everyone was slightly taken aback. An incredulous look appeared on their faces. He was really courting death. Bang! The emperor from the Bloodshed Empire was evidently stunned as well. His calm face revealed a look of anger. He gently placed the scepter in his hand on the ground. A muffled sound rang out. An invisible aura directly charged forward. The Blood Flow Empire is indeed a little overbearing. This isn't your world, and we aren't your chess pieces either. Suddenly, a faint voice sounded from the Heavenly Sword sect. Sect leader Ling sat there and looked at the 2 emperors above, his eyes flickering. Oh? This? Sect leader Ling of the Heavenly Sword sect, he actually also. When everyone's gaze landed on sect leader Ling, they were all extremely shocked. Sect leader Ling of the Heavenly Sword sect also opened his mouth to speak, What did this mean? Was he also expressing his dissatisfaction towards the Blood Flow Empire? The sect leader of the Heavenly Sword sect was a 6th-level void interpretation expert, an existence that could match the strongest fighting strength of the Blood Flow Empire. Ling Xiaoyun of the Heaven Sword sect, do you really think that you can become an enemy of our Blood Flow Empire just because you've broken through to the 6th level of the Profound Void tier? Standing on the stage, the Blood Flow Prince's pupils constricted slightly. He looked at Sect Master Ling's position with an embarrassed expression. It seems that there are still quite a number of people who have objections against our Blood Flow Empire. Haha, good. Our Blood Flow Empire has not made a move for over 1,000 years. Some people really think that they can challenge our Blood Flow Empire's prestige just by breaking through to the 6th rank of the Profound Void tier. Anyone who disobeys our orders, all of you, stand out. Boom! Another emperor slowly opened his eyes. He stood up and looked at the sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect, sweeping his gaze across all the factions in the hall. The might of a 6th-rank Profound Void tier expert was directly emitted. The terrifying aura caused even the Profound Void tier experts present to feel their breathing slow. Emperor, please calm down. We don't dare! Emperor, please calm down. We have no objections. The expressions of the Blood Flow Empire's family forces and subordinate forces changed drastically. They hurriedly stood up and bowed. Their gazes glanced at the Sky Sword sect and the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Their eyes were somewhat cold. The other forces also hurriedly stood up and bowed. When the Emperor was angry, blood would flow for thousands of miles. They simply didn't have the ability to resist. The Sky Sword sect and the Dragon Phoenix Empire aren't satisfied, right? The Emperor placed the scepter in front of him and placed his palms on it as he asked coldly. Just as the Dragon Phoenix Queen said, this world isn't your Blood Flow Empire's. Just as he finished asking, the Light Dragon King slowly stood up and said expressionlessly, Our Bloodstream sect is not a chess piece of your Bloodstream Empire. Sect Master of the Bloodstream sect also stood up and said with a smile on his face. What? The Light Dragon Empire and the Bloodstream sect also stood up against the Bloodstream Empire. Could it be that they have long been prepared, or… My God, the Sky Sword sect, the Light Dragon Empire's Bloodstream sect, and the Dragon Phoenix Empire are among the most powerful forces now. The 4 of them actually don't give face to the Bloodstream Empire. When the sect masters of the Light Dragon Dynasty and the Bloodstream sect stood up, the entire hall was in an uproar. They looked at the 4 top-tier forces in astonishment. All of them gulped. What did they want to do? Are you going to rebel? Prince Bloodstream's expression changed slightly when he saw the 2 top-tier forces stand up, and he asked in a stern voice. We don't belong to your Blood Flow Empire to begin with. Why would we go against you? Do you really think that we are your subjects? Feng Luan stared at Prince Bloodflow and said indifferently. Haha, good. Among the 4 top-tier forces, our Bloodflow Empire still has the same words. Kneel down now and spare your lives. Otherwise, you will die. The rest of you, listen to my orders. Buzz! An emperor laughed out loud with a cold expression. His domineering voice entered everyone's ears. His gaze swept across the Dragon Phoenix Empire, Sky Sword sect, Light Dragon Empire, and the Bloodflow sect as he shouted at everyone around him. At the last moment, he raised the scepter in his hand. A terrifying aura gathered on it. Kneel down or die! The people from the families and subordinate dynasties in the Bloodshed Empire stood up immediately. A weapon appeared in front of them. A murderous aura emanated from their bodies as they roared loudly. The expressions of the other factions changed drastically. They stood there without saying a word. Kneel down or die! Old man, do you really think that you can kill whoever you want? Let's give it a try then. Wang Xian looked at the 2 old men who seemed to have the power of life and death in their hands. A hint of mockery appeared on his face as he stared at them and said coldly. At the same time, an aura charged directly at one of the old men. Haha! We really need to give it a try to find out. Sect Master Ling also laughed out loud. His body trembled slightly and a terrifying metallic radiance charged directly at the other emperor. "You're courting death!" When the emperor felt the impact of Wang Xian's aura, his expression changed slightly. He waved the scepter in his hand and a blood-red radiance charged towards Wang Xian. The moment he made his move, he wanted to kill him. Hee hee! A destructive aura gathered in Wang Xian's palm. Buzz! He waved his arm to the left. The terrifying blood-red radiance charged towards the side. Not good! Block, block! The expressions of the Blood Flow Empire's forces on the left changed drastically, and they hurriedly shouted. Thick Earth Shield! An elder's expression changed drastically, and an earthen yellow shield appeared in front of him as he shouted loudly. The 2-meter-tall shield blocked in front of him. However, the blood-red light easily pierced through the shield. Ah! Screams sounded. The Emperor's attack instantly killed 3 or 4 insightful void martial artists. The Nameless Sword Demon is a level 6 insightful void martial artist. A shocked voice sounded from the surroundings. Chapter 1437. The Nameless Sword Demon is a powerhouse at level 6 of the See-Through Realm. Level 6 of the See-Through Realm. Level 6 of the See-Through Realm. When everyone saw Wang Xian casually deflecting an emperor's attack to the side, their eyes widened. No wonder the Dragon and Phoenix Empire dared to disobey the order of the Bloodshed Empire. It turns out that Wang Xian has the strength of level 6 of the See-Through Realm. No wonder Wang Xian dared to look down on the emperor. It turns out that he has reached this realm as well. Have the Sky Sword Sect, the Dragon Phoenix Empire, the Bloodshed Sect, and the Light Dragon Empire come to an agreement? Are they going to join forces? Wang Xian and Sect Leader Ling are 2 6th-level insightful void martial artists. The Bloodshed Empire may not care about 1 6th-level insightful void martial artist, but if there are 2... The surrounding forces stared at Wang Xian in shock. A master at level 6 of the See-Through Realm who was not even 30 years old. What kind of concept was this? This was simply defying the natural order. Are you courting death? When the Emperor saw that his attack landed on his own people and that 3 masters of the See-Through Realm were killed, he revealed a furious expression. Haha, old man, do you have the ability to kill me? Wang Xian looked at the old man and laughed out loud. He stared at the Emperor mockingly. When the Emperor heard Wang Xian calling him an old man and holding the scepter in his hand tightly, his expression changed drastically. 2 experts at the 6th level of the Insightful Emptiness Realm. No wonder you dare to challenge us, the Bloody Flow Empire. However, do you really think that we are afraid of you? Do you really think that we, the Bloody Flow Empire, can't do anything to you? The other emperor extended his hand to stop him. He glanced at the sect master of the Wang Xian Heavenly Sword sect with a cold expression. His eyes were filled with killing intent. They did not expect that a force that they thought was like an official would slap their faces in such a manner. What shocked them even more was that their strength had completely exceeded their expectations. Everyone from the Blood Flow Empire, we are not here to challenge you. It is you who are too arrogant and treat us as chess pieces. When it comes to dealing with the demonic beast clan, why should we explain our actions to you? You don't take us seriously at all. The sect master of the Heavenly Sword sect stared at the 2 emperors and said faintly. You still have to explain to us about the demonic beast clan. We also have to give a detailed explanation. Wang Xian looked at the 2 emperors and said faintly. Why would they need to explain to you about the actions of the Blood Flow Empire? Sorry, they really had to explain. Sect Leader Ling's words and Wang Xian's words made the 2 elders' faces extremely awkward. On the surface, there were only 3 experts at level 6 of the Void Interpretation Realm in the Blood Flow Empire. However, in reality, there were 4 of them. However, the current Blood Emperor and the manager of the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop had yet to return from their journey to the vast region. Furthermore, one of the emperors was still at the tomb of the demi-human. They really couldn't deal with Wang Xian and Sect Leader Ling. In fact, if both parties were to fight, the one who would suffer the greatest loss would be the Blood Flow Empire. Perhaps the entire imperial city would be reduced to ruins during their battle. This caused their expressions to change continuously. As the former Blood Emperor of the Blood Flow Empire, when had they ever been so restrained? Now is the time for the transformation of the entire Luhai region. As the strongest existence in the Blood Flow Empire, we are naturally the main ones. Prince Blood Flow's expression changed drastically as he stared at Wang Xian and sect leader Ling. He said with a gloomy face, "Shut up. You don't have the right to speak here." Wang Xian glanced at Prince Blood Flow and said coldly. He stared at the two emperors and said, "Make the plan together. Don't even think about not contributing a little. You. Prince Xuelu's body trembled when he heard Wang Xian's reprimand. He stared at Wang Xian with bloodshot eyes. "We will discuss the matter of the demonic beasts another day." One of the emperors stared deeply at Wang Xian and sect leader Ling as he said coldly, "All of you, take care of yourselves." Humph! The other emperor swept his gaze across the four forces of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. With a snort, he turned around and left. Prince Bloodflow's expression changed as he stood there. "We'll discuss it another day. Listen to our Bloodflow Empire's announcement." He waved his arm and walked out directly, leaving behind all the factions in the Great Hall whose faces were filled with astonishment. They looked at the Dragon Phoenix Empire, the Sky Sword Sect, the Light Dragon Empire, and the Bloodflow Sect standing in the Great Hall in a daze. I really didn't expect that they actually had the power to resist the Bloodflow Empire. 2 level 6 Profound Void martial artists, plus their Profound Void martial artists, they really aren't afraid of the Bloodflow Empire at all. This is simply... The Demon Beast clan hasn't changed yet, but a huge earthquake has happened on our side. Some factions discussed with astonished expressions. The subordinate dynasties and sects of the Blood Flow Empire looked at them with ugly expressions. For thousands of years, this was the first time they had forced the Bloodshed Empire into such an awkward situation. "Let's go!" Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and looked at the 3 forces of the Heavenly Sword Sect. "Let's go!" Sect leader Ling and the rest nodded their heads and led their subordinates out. Wang Xian and Feng Luan also walked out. These 4 forces have really formed an alliance. It seems like they are prepared for the huge changes in the Luhai region. They have already formed an alliance. It's obvious that they are dissatisfied with the attitude of the Bloodshed Empire today. Voices of discussion rang out in the hall. Only after Wang Xian and the rest left did they dare to follow them out. If it wasn't for the fact that the Bloodshed Empire has gone overboard, I don't want to shed all pretense of cordiality with them. They really don't put us in their eyes. Walking out of the Great Hall, the Sky Sword Sect Master shook his head slightly and said indifferently, thinking that he was at least an expert at the 6th level of the Profound Void tier, yet the Blood Flow Empire still didn't put the Sky Sword Sect in their eyes. One could imagine how arrogant they were. They have been invincible in the Flowing Sea region for too long, making them think too highly of themselves. The Light Dragon King said indifferently. They didn't agree with the Blood Flow Empire's plan at all. It was obvious that they wanted to weaken their power. I wonder what the Blood Flow Empire will do next? Feng Luan said thoughtfully. They have been standing on the clouds for a long time. Now they should know what to do. This world is not theirs. In the end, they will compromise. Sect Master Ling said with a smile on his face. Sect Master Yi and the Light Dragon King nodded slightly. It was impossible for the Bloodstream Empire to attack them, especially when the Demon Beast clan wanted to establish an empire. The appearance of the Demon Beast Empire was actually the most stressful thing for the Bloodstream Empire. During this period, the Bloodstream Empire could only rope them in. Once they fought, the losses of the Bloodstream Empire would be even more severe. Chapter 1438. Bang! 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 Damn it! Damn Wang Xian! Damn nameless sword demon! Just you wait! I, Tang Shuwen, swear that I will tear you into pieces! In a palace in the Bloody Flow Palace, the crown prince of the Bloody Flow Empire slammed the items in front of the table with a furious expression. He shouted loudly with a ferocious expression. The beautiful woman beside him had a worried look on her face. She walked over and said softly in fear, "Your Highness Crown Prince, you... Don't be angry. The Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Heaven Sword sect don't know what's good for them. They will regret it in the future. How dare they tell me to shut up? How dare they tell me to shut up?" Tang Shuwen clenched his fists and stood there with a cold expression. "Sixth level of the Profound Void Martial Stage. Don't think that you can order me just because you have reached the 6th level of the Profound Void Martial Stage. Just you wait, just you wait," he growled, and his eyes were filled with a crazy killing intent. The beautiful woman beside him gently stroked his body to calm him down. "Your Highness, what do the two emperors say?" "Huff!" Tang Shuwen took a deep breath, sitting on a seat at the side with an awkward expression. "We'll talk about it when my father arrives. However, at this juncture, it's impossible for us to have a civil war here." As he spoke, an unwilling expression appeared on his face. The beautiful woman hurriedly served tea and poured water at the side. She also understood that at this juncture, the Bloodshed Empire wouldn't make a move against them. The four forces were all the strongest forces apart from the Blood Flow Empire. This was especially so for the sect leader of the Heavenly Sword sect and that Wang Xian, who was at level 6 of the See-Through Void tier. The two of them were at level 6 of the See-Through Void tier. This had exceeded the expectations of the Blood Flow Empire. If they really fought, it would cause some unimaginable disasters to the Blood Flow Empire. The two emperors had also said that everything would be discussed after the Blood Emperor arrived and called the emperors from the Human Demon Graveyard over. The news of what happened in the Imperial Palace had already spread out in the afternoon. Once this news spread out, it shook the entire Blood Flow Imperial City. As the Imperial City of the Blood Flow Empire, it had a history of 7,000 to 8,000 years. This was the most majestic and enormous city in the Luhai region. Those who were able to live here were all not weak. In fact, here, even rank 5 transcendents were considered weak. This was something unimaginable in other cities. On the streets, level 7 and level 8 transcendents could be seen everywhere. Damn, is this for real? There's actually someone who dares to challenge our Blood Flow Empire? Let's kill him! Of course it's real. Back then, the two emperors couldn't do anything to the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Heaven Sword sect. Who would have thought that the supreme genius Wang Xian actually had the strength of a level 6 See-Through Void martial artist? Oh my god, wasn't he a level 5 See-Through Void martial artist 2 years ago? Who cares about the Heaven's Pride Supreme Wang Immortal? Who cares about the Heaven Sword sect or the Light Dragon Dynasty's Bloodstream sect? If they dare to provoke our Bloodstream Empire, kill them! Kill them! As the Emperor of the Flowing Sea region, anyone who disobeys us will die. What about His Majesty the Blood Emperor? Who cares about the monstrous Heaven's Pride? If they dare to provoke us, we will definitely destroy them. In the discussion forums of the various restaurants and communication stone tablets, the citizens of the Blood Flow Imperial City revealed furious expressions when they received this news. As citizens of the Blood Flow Imperial City, they had a kind of pride deep in their bones. When they learned that a few top-tier factions were opposing their dynasty in the Imperial Palace, every one of their faces revealed furious expressions. How can our dynasty be opposed by a bunch of forces like you? In the entire Imperial City, many people were discussing with furious expressions. The crowd was furious. With Wang Xian and sect leader Ling, two powerhouses at level 6 of the Void Interpretation stage, the Blood Flow dynasty will definitely not dare to shed all pretenses of cordiality. During this period, even if there are 3 powerhouses at level 6 of the Void Interpretation stage in the Blood Flow dynasty, they won't dare to offend them. I reckon the plan will be reformulated in a few days. This isn't a good thing for us. In a restaurant, a few experts from a dynasty listened to the conversations of the people around them as they discussed in low voices. Those dynasties and sects were very clear that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty and the Sky Sword sect had gained the upper hand in this game. Time slowly passed. What happened in the Imperial Palace caused a commotion in the entire Imperial City. As time passed, the people in the Imperial City gradually understood that this time, the Blood Flow Empire, who was invincible in their hearts, might really have to bow their heads. As for the current situation, the people gradually understood it clearly. This caused the people of the Blood Flow Empire to be somewhat dazed. In the future, the Blood Flow Empire might not be the only existence standing on the mountain peak. Father, you're finally here! On the evening of the fourth day, in a palace of the Blood Flow Empire. The night pearl illuminated the entire palace. The crown prince of the Blood Flow Empire, Tang Shuin, and 3 other emperors sat inside. When the 4 figures outside walked in, the crown prince, Tang Shuin, hurriedly went up to them and shouted with a smile on his face. I heard that something happened here in the palace. The burly elder walked in and bowed to the emperors as he asked indifferently. Father, it's the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty, Sky Sword Sect, Bloodstream Sect, and Light Dragon Dynasty. Crown Prince Tang Shuin said with a gloomy face. I know. Please sit down too. The Blood Emperor nodded and gestured to the 3 elders beside him. The 3 old men nodded, and 2 of the old men's clothes had the words pill and weapon written on them. The other old man was slightly chubby, and he had a warm smile on his face. Little June, these 4 forces, the matter of the 2 insightful Void Tier 6 experts. An emperor looked at the Blood Emperor and frowned as he asked. Father, I've already heard about the matters of those 4 forces, and I have a matter that needs our attention. The Blood Emperor said to the Emperor, his eyes flickering as he looked at the slightly plump old man. All emperors, this old man, Qian from the world's 3rd trading company, has come to tell you a piece of news. The old man stood up with a smile. World's 3rd trading company? The emperors were slightly surprised as they said with a smile. Elder Qian, speak. You should also know that we have been in contact with the 3rd trading company in the world. The Demon Beast clan wants us to help them pass on the message. Their Demon Beast clan is willing to temporarily stop any battles with humans and invite everyone to participate in the Demon Beast dynasty's founding ceremony. Elder Qian said slowly. Oh? What? The emperors were slightly surprised. They frowned and immediately asked, What's the situation on the Demon Beast side now? Which Demon Beast clan has reached the peak? Blood Savage Demonic Beast. Now, the Blood Savage Demonic Beast has 3 demonic beasts at the 6th level of the Profound Void Tier. They have defeated the other 2 top-tier demonic beast races. The Emperor of Demonic Beasts is in their race, Elder Qian said to them. Blood Savage Demonic Beast? It's actually them who has ascended the throne. The situation is not optimistic. Are they going to make peace with us humans? The emperors frowned, their expressions changing. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.